913-912-4810. That's the text line to join us, 913-912-4810. Text says, quick German lesson. The color white is W-E-I-B, but pronounced Weiss. The B gets a double S sound in German. So there you go. Now we're learning German to get ready for the Chiefs taking their trip to Germany and to get ready for our conversation with Cynthia Freeland, of course.
I wish her name had either a B or a double S sound. I was going to try, but there's no phonetic German joke.
She is a badass.
There, so yeah, but I don't know. That would imagine how you'd spell some of that. German has regular B's in it, right? It's just this uppercase looking B with the little dash missing.
Text says 913-912-4810. The Royals, if they sign Max Scherzer. Good news, guys. We got Max. Bad news. We are actually going to have you guys start mowing the grass. We had to lay off the grounds crew. Probably, yes.
Hey, in German, that letter is known as the Esset or Scharfes.
Yeah, the sharp
face.
S. The sharp face. Yes.
Whoa.
That's a terrible thing.
Scharfes.
That's a terrible thing for somebody to be, but that's what it's known as. It's also one of my buddies' nickname in college. Text says, I said last night the Diamondbacks remind me of the 14 Royals. I mean, they do.
I think they have to.
Got in with the wild card, and they're 9-3. They're 9-3. Only, they didn't have to. They didn't lose a game heading to the World Series. That first loss was a game. No, game 1 in the World Series. That's right.
Let me see what 1 in German is.
Yes.
So. Mick is texting us, clearly having just started listening to the show. We went through all of this earlier, Mick. We've been working on it, okay? We know it's not a B. It looks like a B. We're doing radio for people who can't see. That's why I say it looks like a capital B, but it's not connected at the bottom because it has the double S sound.
If it looks like a B, spelled like a B, it sounds like an S. That's what it is with German.
It looks like a Mick and sounds like a Mick. It sounds like an ass.
Schaefer. The Mick specifically, not his brother. His brother's awesome. Text says, when I said what's going on right now, like with all the different teams, is it Chiefs the best team in the AFC? It says AFC, Chiefs the best team in the NFL. It's not even close. I think it's close. I think the Eagles are pretty good. We'll find out. Look, if they curb stomp and boat race the Eagles on Monday Night Football, yeah, I'll be down with that. But right now, no, I think they're the best team. They're the best team in the AFC. Yes, I'd say they're the best team in the NFL. I shouldn't have stopped at AFC. I was being more conservative there with just like, they're the best team in the AFC. Mainly because I didn't want to have the battle of they're the best team in the NFL. Like, are they? But now I got the exact opposite. So I appreciate you calling me out on that, Texter. I appreciate that. 913-912-4810. They're the best team in the NFL. So stop trying to couch it, people. Jason. Idiot.
They're the best team in the NFL, but also we're all trying to be a little bit better about not overreacting every week. It's a slower moving thing. The Chiefs are the best team in the NFL, and they have been since last February.
That's right.
And a while before that.
That's right.
Slowly moving, these power rankings.
I would love somebody to do a study for me and for baseball to see the difference of built for the regular season, built for the postseason. Because we've heard this team is the Rays are built for the regular season, but they can't win in the postseason. Phillies, what did the Phillies have this year? What was their record?
90-something.
Phillies ended up being 90-72. They weren't 104-58 like the Braves. The Rays are 99-63. Phillies were 90-72. Rays were 9 games better, but it's like, well, the Rays are built for the regular season. Phillies built for the postseason. Like the study of that to where, okay, in the postseason, you need Wheeler and Nola. You need Gallen and Fott, and Merrill Kelly, what he's, been able to do. You need Eovaldi and Montgomery and Max Scherzer at some point, yes, and a Ginkel. You need those particular guys when you're going through the postseason, like built for the regular season, built for the postseason. And then also just like it really doesn't matter how you finish the season. Like, honestly, it just doesn't matter.
Apparently, this would end that argument, I suppose.
Texas lost 3 of 4 and the division the final weekend of the season. They've gone 9-3 in the playoffs since. How do you flip that around? You just lost the division. Now you got to play in a wild card game. You weren't supposed to play in a wild card game. If you just went 2-2 against the Mariners, you win the division. You went 1-3, lost 3 of 4, and now you're playing in the wild card. And all they did from that point was like, oh, cool, let's just go 9-3. It's all good. We're 7-3, and then they went and down 3-2 against the Astros, went and won both those games, but 9-3 in the playoffs. And just like the Diamondbacks, we talked about the Diamondbacks from July 2nd to August 11th, where they were 7-25. From August 18th to September 8th, the Rangers were 4-16.
Good Lord.
I mean, that's August and September baseball. That's September 8th. That's less than a month away from going to the playoffs. They were 4-16. Their bullpen was atrocious. They were wondering who their closer is going to be, setup man. Chapman was awesome when he first got there. Then he started to struggle a little bit. And then they lose 3 or 4 to wrap up the season, and all they've done is 9-3 since. Like, does it even matter, like, at the end of the year, how you're playing? Because they were playing sort of playoff baseball to get in as a, wild card / wanting to win the division because the AL East had tons of good teams. So Texas was battling for the division and a wild card spot at the same time. And the Diamondbacks were battling for a wild card spot. And I think Texas and Arizona both got into the playoffs by a 1-game lead in the wild card, both 1 game up. And they've it's fascinating. It's crazy. And it's supposed to be different than football, to where in the NFL, if you get hot, well, you win a 1-game thing. Like the Bengals 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. They went to, Vegas and won. They went to Tennessee and won. Oh, they're hot. They went to, who'd they play the first game? Vegas was in Cincy, that's right, because Vegas clearly did not win the division.
Right.
That's right.
And remember, they blew the whistle during a play.
That's right.
Because the refs helped the Chiefs.
That's exactly right, yes. And so the Bengals got hot.
Yeah.
The Bengals beat the Chiefs at the end of the season. They go and helps win the division. They beat the Raiders at home, clearly not on the road, because that would be odd if 2 division teams got home games. Then they went to Tennessee, the number 1 seed. And then they went to Kansas City.
Tennessee was the 1 seed that year.
They went to Kansas City that just had that epic game against Buffalo.
Yep.
That there was some jackass that tweeted out after the Bengals beat the Titans that the winner of the Bills-Chiefs is going to the Super Bowl. I wouldn't do that, so I don't know who the jackass is.
What a dumb thing to do.
It was terrible. It was dumb.
Certainly no chance that anyone else also fully believed that.
Nobody believed that. I was the only one. It's my fault, really. They got hot at the right time. Baseball is 5 games and 7-game series. It's not about just you got hot at the right time and you pulled off a number of 1-game sample size and you were just, your quarterback was playing at an amazing level and everything was clicking. They were down 3-2. They weren't hot in this series.
Yeah.
I mean, they were down 5-2 in game 4 that would have put them down 3-1 in the series and it would have been done. It would have been done at that point. They were down 5-1. And they came back and won that game 6-5.
I wonder how much of it is still a smaller sample size from the 162 games of a baseball season, and that still being the noise. And I wonder how much of it is construction and things like, hey, when everything is about one baseball game, you do treat it differently. Use your bullpen differently. Use your lineup
Tell
differently.
that to Dusty Baker.
Some teams would use things differently. But I wonder how much of that is intertwined and how much of it is just like October chaos. And I enjoy it regardless.
And like a core belief, which is interesting because there's no way you can tell me the Phillies didn't have a core belief.
Right.
The Diamondbacks clearly had a core belief. The Phillies had a core belief. And one team ended up coming with bigger hits and bigger moments than the others. Runners in scoring position hits. Marino's big hit. Scoring position, Corbin Carroll, Marte. The Phillies couldn't get it. Couldn't get that big hit. They had opportunities, just couldn't come through. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, we'll talk with Cynthia Freeland coming up at 11 o'clock. NFL Network analytics expert. Get her thoughts on what's been going on in the NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs, the defense, how they're playing offensively, what they're doing, an impact of McCole Hardman or not, what that may or may not mean. So we'll just get her thoughts on some of those things and just how kind of crazy it's been at times. Like the Miami Dolphins, like how good is that offense if they can't protect? Like I really want to know, like as they move forward, the 2 games that they have lost, they've lost to Buffalo and they've lost to Philly, and they've had 8 sacks in those games. They've scored a total of 37 points. The other games that they've played, only given up 1 sack, and they've scored a crap ton of points. That's the exact number, is crap ton.
For like 2 years.
She's analyzed the data.
If you can keep that big booty down, like if you are a big boy, if you're very tall and you can keep your booty down low, then you are far more successful.
She's crunched the numbers and the results are clear.
The back of booty isn't as good, as it turns out.
If she picks a dog, she'll have the math to back it up.
It's not like Travis Kelce has done. My dog is very excited about this, just so you know.
It's Cynthia Freeland of NFL Network. Now in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, let's talk with Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert, joining us here in the zone on this Wednesday edition. Cynthia, welcome into the show. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. I'm aware today's Wednesday. Last week it was like, is it Wednesday? Is it Thursday? I didn't even know. But today, it's Wednesday. Locked and loaded.
It is absolutely Wednesday, right up until noon or midnight. At midnight.
Until noon. Oh, God.
Yeah, right up until one more hour for Wednesday. Then we're going to get crazy. We're going to get nuts. All right, let's get a little froggy here. But midnight, right up until midnight. At that point, you do need to change your calendar. Okay, Cynthia, just want to give you a heads up on that.
Got it.
Are you? I know we talked last week about you growing up in Germany. Are you heading to Germany for the game next week?
Unfortunately, I will not be,
Okay.
but Kimmy Chex will be there. She does your preseason
Yes.
sideline, and so she's one of my favorite coworkers, and she will be there.
How'd she get that assignment? Why didn't you get that assignment? Did you guys fight for it? Was
I
it like
think it's probably
thumb wrestling?
A thumb wrestling? No, I think it's probably because she does the preseason with them, and she also is one of the co-hosts of Total Access. So, different schedules.
I mean, I get it. Makes sense. But did she grow up in Germany? I bet she didn't.
But she did, grow up in Kansas City, so I guess
That's true.
that
Hey,
kind of
you know what?
counts for something
Just
somewhere.
it counts something for us. I'll tell you that. Cynthia Freeland,
sure.
absolutely, NFL Network analytics expert, is our guest. Okay, so the Chiefs defense. We had been talking about it throughout the season, and so it was like, okay, they've been good against these particular teams, and maybe some offenses that weren't great, or quarterbacks that had struggled, or whatever the qualifiers might have been to, okay, how good is this defense? And we were sort of waiting for some quote-unquote legit offenses to come around. And so it was the Chargers, and then we'll see about the Dolphins and the Eagles and et cetera. I felt like it was validation probably for the Chiefs defense by giving up 17 points, 0 in the second half. What do you and your dog think it is for the Chiefs defense? Is it validation in how they played?
It absolutely is validation. I mean, we got a lot of validation in this game, just like on both sides of the ball, actually. But when I'm watching to see like the structures, it felt like, I don't know, like sometimes I'm not insulting the Chargers here, but I don't know if they had as much of a game plan or they went in with like, okay, all reaction plan, right? Like even the first 20 scripted plays didn't feel like it was a cohesive strategy like you'd normally want to take it. Like usually what you see is like, okay, we're going to see what are their tendencies in this game. Like we know Spags does this, like let's like give them this look and see if they bite. And like let's use Austin Eckler. And, Steve Spagnuolo had actually allowed, and he still technically does because it's a long enough sample size, the most receptions to the running back position since he took over as defensive coordinator. And you have Austin Eckler. Like, I was just a little confused, but that just meant to me, like, that's mad respect, and also the fact that his defense wasn't biting on whatever they were trying to test in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, Eckler had 2 targets, 1 reception for 1 yard in the game. That seems suboptimal for a defense that does that, and that's sort of the interesting part of it is maybe the adjustments to that. Going into the game, the pros, the cons, the advantages, disadvantages. Like there's a clear mismatch on the sidelines, right? I mean, between the two, with Brandon Staley and whatever's going on with the analytics stuff, I'm fine with in those things. But in terms of fourth downs and 2-point conversions and et cetera, but there's such a mismatch on the sideline that that can't be understated of what we saw, especially in that game.
Rich Eisen said it best on game day morning ahead of that game. Even he was like, we could be talking about week 1. We could be talking about week 3, 4, 5. Like he's like, there have been very strange decisions made by that coaching staff this entire season, and you can quote unquote blame them on analytics or say whatever. But at the end of the day, like all analytics is just a framework to tell you if you're making a high or low probability decision. So you can imagine, in every single broadcast, how annoying it is when I keep hearing it. The analytics say no. The analytics say it's that the average team is more likely to convert on this than that, right? Like it doesn't. There's no like. You have to take responsibility and accountability. Be like, this is the strategy I went in with, and it didn't work out. Next question. Not like, well, the card said do this. Well, are you listening to a card? Are you coaching? Like, is it all like, do you have any control over here or what? Like, what's going on?
And Ed, also like people will look at the end of game situation and clock management and things like that, but clock management for the Chargers at the end of the first half. Like, the Chiefs had the ball. They were driving down the field. It was the 96-yard drive that they had to go up 24-17. So it was tied 17 apiece. And the Chiefs have the 28-yard pass to MVS. And the Chiefs have 1st and 10 at the 11-yard line. And the clock runs from 1 minute or a 1:10 down to 42 when the Chiefs snap the ball. Like, if you're the Chargers, if you're Brandon Staley, what are you doing? What do you think the Chiefs are going to run out of time? They've got all 3 timeouts. Like, what are you expecting to have happen? And the Chiefs score a touchdown, and there's 15 seconds left. They have 2 timeouts, and they just took a knee. Like, that it's mind-boggling that you wouldn't use your timeouts to say, well, cool, they're going to score here. They'll probably get they may get a touchdown, but they may get a field goal. Whatever they get, we're not battling the down and distance anymore. We're battling the time. We get the ball back. Now we can go and get the final possession, so they can't double up. That seemed like a very defeated, like, hey, if we're down 24-17 going into half, I guess I'll take it. If we're down, 20-17, I guess I'll take it. Instead of, no, we need to get the ball back and go score ourselves. It was weird.
It was very strange. Like, look, I guess at some point, I mean, I live out here in Los Angeles, and despite it not being there's a lot of, let's just say, when the Chiefs come to SoFi, there was a lot of red in the stadium.
Yes, yeah.
You still hear rumblings here about what's going on with Brandon Staley. And sometimes these things snowball, and you get in your own head, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. So hopefully, I don't know, like, Justin Herbert's a great talent. If you think about it from that, like, they've got this roster should not be in the position they're in right now. Just based on who's on it, you haven't gotten production out of Joey Bosa. Like, what's going on here? Derwin James is often banged up. Like something's going on, and they probably need to solve it.
Yeah, and probably the biggest issue. Yeah, probably the biggest issue for the head coach is that the defense is pretty atrocious, and he's a defensive guy. That's not It's not great. Cynthia Freeland is our guest, NFL analytics expert. The Chiefs' defense, they get Charles Omenihu back, and I'm wondering if you're guessing and moving forward if this is a trend or a one-game sort of sample size against the Chargers, but week 1 without Chris Jones and without Charles Omenihu, the Chiefs blitzed the Lions like 60%. It was something absurd, and which is not sustainable, in the NFL, unless you're Flores or whatever. But against the Chargers, they get Omenihu back. Chris Jones is on the field, and they blitzed about 17% of the time. It was a little less than 20% the blitz rate, and they were still getting pressure. They still had 5 sacks. They still had 8 quarterback hits. They had 5 tackles for loss, and they just simply weren't blitzing. And that's something that Steve Spagnuolo, in my opinion, hasn't really had the luxury of bringing 4 guys and not having different exotic blitzes. Is this a one-game thing? Maybe against the Chargers, they didn't want to blitz because of the running back receptions and other things there, or is this maybe the beginning of a trend that with the Omenihu, Chris Jones, Karlaftis, the way Mike Dana's playing, that if they've got those 4 guys that Steve Spagnuolo feels comfortable, he can put pressure on the quarterback and he can drop 7, and now the Chiefs' defense can really be suffocating?
Well, there's 2 things. Ahead of last week's game, the Chiefs actually had the second largest year-over-year blitz rate increase in the entire NFL. So second only to, you guessed it, Brian Flores and the Vikings. But so it's interesting because that trend, like, that is now no longer the case, right? Like, that is now they really, like, decreased that number. The other thing that's factoring into that, and the luxury of being able to rush with 4, is now you're seeing Chris Jones align on the edge a lot more often on third down. So, like, it's incredible. Ahead of last game, his third down snaps were at, in 2022 it was like 24%. Ahead of last game, it was 60%. So, I haven't updated it for this game quite yet, but that's a huge increase. And so his alignment, where he's able to rush from, has changed. And part of that is because George Karlaftis is really stepping up, and then you got all these pieces back. So rushing with 4 is such a luxury, and now it seems like something that the Chiefs are going to be able to do.
And even before the game against the Chargers, the Chiefs, Cynthia Freeland's our guest, the Chiefs last year in QBR allowed without pressuring the quarterback. When the quarterback had no pressure on him, QBR allowed last year, they were 32nd in the NFL. They were dead last. Right now, the Chiefs' defense, QBR allowed when they have no pressure on the quarterback, they are second best in the NFL. Is there noise there, or is that an indicator of no? That's sustainable. That's showing what the defense can do. Because if you're putting pressure on the quarterback, yeah, QBR allowed, probably pretty good. Because most quarterbacks struggle under pressure, or at least to some degree. With pressure, hey, guess what? They're professional players, and they've thrown millions and millions of footballs in their life. Is that as good of an indicator of what the sustainability is for this defense? Is that even when they're not pressuring the quarterback, they're second best in the NFL in QBR allowed?
I think that directionally is correct. Like the specific number, like ranking second or whatever, like let's just keep it in the top 5. Like don't get like crazy if they drop down to 5th, right? Like I think it is a sustainable trend. The explicit ranking, now whatever, who cares, right? But the fact that it's much improved, that's the thing to focus on.
Yeah. Is that why do you think that is? Why, if you had to, guess as to why they go from 32nd to 2nd without pressuring the quarterback? It's the same group. Is it just experience, guys improving? Steve Spagnuolo maybe using more exotic schemes and plays with guys that sort of know what they're doing? How could you? What do you think is sort of a description to look at this team and say 32nd to 2nd in the NFL in that particular category?
I'm going to say yes to all of it.
Okay, great.
Meaning, I think that the fact that they've been playing together more. Remember, that team last season was so young, so many rookies contributing. So now you've got a chance to not just have one big piece of the defensive line has changed, but you have a lot of people playing together that are really key playmakers. And, another year of comfort together kind of takes that first couple parts of the season and really changes, Steve Spagnuolo now doesn't have to do install from day 0. He now gets to do install from day 14 or whatever, I'm making it
right.
But
yeah.
So they're able to now, instead of go from, we use a school analogy, like level 101 to 201, well, they're starting at 201, so now they can probably get to 401. You know what I mean? So it's the ability to do that, number one. Number two, you have to give a lot of credit to how individuals are playing. I mean, Trent McDuffie looks ridiculous. So does L'Jarius Sneed. So, the people who you're expecting to be good are actually good, right? Like, if you draft someone in the first round in their second season, especially after being hurt in their first season, to have the kind of, what more can you ask from Trent McDuffie than that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been great, and it's so crazy, the reaction on draft night versus, a couple of years later. Because there was so much talk about, who the Chiefs would draft in the first round, and would they trade up to get a defensive end, or Jermaine Johnson was a conversation at that point, and they trade up, and so my texts and tweets are they're getting the defensive end, and whoever it might have been, I don't even remember at the time, because I know Johnson went after that, but I don't remember if there was somebody else. Yeah. And then they took Trent McDuffie, and I just remember the amount of people that were like, huh? Who? Because we hadn't talked about him, because he wasn't supposed to be there, and so we hadn't really discussed him. We're like, okay, they spin it on a cornerback. Typically, Veach doesn't do that. They traded up to get him, and now looking back, you're like, man, what a great move by the Chiefs to. And he was one of the players that they had a legit first-round grade on, which is why they traded up to get him, is because, 15, 16, maybe 17 players in the draft have first-round grades. He was one of them, and no reason he should have been there. So they went up and got him. I just remember the collective, who? Because we didn't spend any time on Trent McDuffie whatsoever in the draft season.
I mean, he certainly wasn't supposed to be available anywhere near that spot. So, I mean, good for him, though. I mean, he gets a ring in his first season, so I'm sure he's not sad about that fall.
That's right. Yeah, he's probably feeling pretty good about where he is at. Cynthia Freeland is our guest. I want to talk about the Chiefs offense. You had a fun stat that you brought us last week with Isaiah Pacheco and some of those things. I've got a stat that I was going to bring to the table here and then just get your thoughts on it. So this is a clear indication of the way that teams are playing the Chiefs, but the stat is from 2018 to 2021, Patrick Mahomes touchdowns of 20 or more air yards. So not 20-yard touchdowns, just 20 or more air yards.
Air yards.
He had
a true deep pass.
Exactly. From 2018 to 21, he had 44 touchdowns like that. Since the beginning of last year, MVS was his second.
Yep.
The MVS touchdown was his second.
The thing that's interesting, right, is the fact that you won a Super Bowl in a season where there was only one as well.
Yeah. Well, which oddly enough, that one was against the Chargers with Justin Watson last year. So at home against the Chargers, he's having his true deep pass touchdown, because those are the only two, is Justin Watson last year and MVS on Sunday. That was a striking stat to see, that 44 from 18 to 21, and MVS was just the second of 20 air yards. There have been 20-yard touchdowns, right, and other things, but 20 air yards.
That's different. That's like a catch and run.
Right, because the Jerick McKinnon little hook shot, flip was like 49 yards, right? But that was that was like a one air yard from the line of scrimmage to McKinnon. But just like, is that just simply the way that defenses are playing them? Is it no Tyreek Hill, is not there, and so it changes taking the top off the defense? The answer is probably yes to that, but I'm sort of curious your opinion as to why the just complete total night and day of how the Chiefs are going about scoring touchdowns.
Well, the funny part is that, like, even looking at this last game as an example of to explain everything, if you look at those 10 to 19 air yard passes last game against the Chargers defense, okay, Chargers defense, we'll put it out there, they're giving up the most yards through the air. So, okay, but part of the reason why he didn't need to is because Mahomes was 13 of 14 for 259 and a touchdown, and that's like the most on intermediate passes in a game over the last 5 seasons or something crazy. So, it's like one of those things where it's like, well, they found something that's working, so why are they going to change it? And the personnel that they have now, you don't need Tyreek Hill to burn everyone across the top of the formation. You're getting enough separation in. A lot of times teams need to take the top off of defense because they're jammed up in the middle and they don't have Travis Kelce in there, right? Like, it's true. So part of it is that, you have these opportunities where, your personnel dictates that this is the best play possible. And I think it's like, if you got, like, let's call him new Tyreek or someone else that's just as fast and has the same skill set, then they probably would open it back up a lot more often. So it's really a function of, like, what they think the best strategy is in order to beat their opponents. And right now, given their personnel, it's a lot of Kelce.
Yeah, Cynthia Freeland, because it also wasn't just Tyreek. I mean, from 18 to 21, you had, Sammy Watkins in there. You had McCole Hardman in there. Exactly. So you had Tyreek, Sammy, and McCole on a team. And, yeah, you're going to have some deep passes, but defenses have adjusted. The Chiefs have had to adjust their game plan. And I think we saw a little bit of maybe the next element for them is Rashee Rice getting the ball in an intermediate pass over the middle and letting him turn into a fullback and go and run, because they were at their own 4-yard line, Cynthia, and the first play was to Rashee Rice over the middle, and he takes it for 38 yards. Like, that's a different level of sort of confidence that's there for Rashee Rice.
100%.
The touchdown in the back of the end zone, he said he adjusted his route and sort of did a Travis Kelce thing. Rashee Rice did in game number 7 in the NFL, which is pretty encouraging, because he said, Cynthia, well, if it was supposed to be a post corner, but then the defender was there, so I just stopped there and played football, and I knew Pat would find me. Like, okay,
exactly.
I feel good about Rashee Rice moving forward.
Yeah, that's a pretty strong statement right there. Pretty strong. I'll give him that.
Yeah, I just Pat's going to find me. I just know it. And he did, by the way. Which is more confidence for him. The next time out to say, okay, I'm reading this way, and Pat's going to find me. Just as Travis is, I'm reading it this way, and I know Pat's going to find me. Now that's how many 6-7 years of doing that with Mahomes and Kelce, but certainly is encouraging with Rashee Rice. Cynthia Freeland is our guest, NFL Network analytics expert. The 49ers end up losing to the Vikings, and we've seen Brock Purdy finally have regular season losses. Is this going to be another season of, hey, the 49ers just can't get over the hump? And if that's the case, why is it? Why can't Shanahan and this 49ers team, and obviously it's only 7 games in, but why does it sort of feel like this is a team that has talent, has a number of really good players, has some expensive players too, but yet doesn't have the feel of just putting it all together and then going and winning a Super Bowl?
Yeah, it's really interesting because some of the things you talk about, like improbable plays and interesting things with the clock, like I saw on like the negative, 40-yard line or something, at the end of the second half, they did a cover zero? Like, what? Like, and listen, Brian Flores, love you. You're a friend of mine, but, like, what? Like, we're all, okay, everyone's listed from here. Understood. And point being is that, the Vikings have had the most one-possession losses, and sometimes that comes around and swings the other way. But also, that first of all, the NFL is a lot closer than it feels when you see teams get beat 38-0 or 70-20 or whatever it was. But, the truth is that when you don't have a quarterback with experience, you get more bad turnovers. And the problem is not all interceptions are the same. So we all know this, right? But when you watch the type of interceptions, you're starting to see him, and he's only thrown 3. It's not like I'm saying he's an interception machine or anything. But it just means that there's some areas that more experienced defenses can exploit. And that's where you kind of get the difference. Now, if Deebo Samuel were back in the game, I think it would have looked different because Brock has his eyes go right to Deebo Samuel on every single play. And without him in the lineup, they've been significantly less effective. So while, we know Christian McCaffrey is a straw that stirs the drink, I think Deebo Samuel is like the safety blanket of Brock Purdy because Brock, and it's not his fault, he's never seen these defenses before. Like, teams are now game planning to stop him, which is new thing for him, right? Like, sure, he's played a couple games last year, and they were big, important games, but sometimes you get a little bit of an advantage when you have Christian McCaffrey out there who can handle all that workload, right? And then now when you're asking him to make some big plays without his key playmaker, you're seeing some of his vulnerabilities, which I have every reason to believe he'll overcome. It's just how are you supposed to know how to do something until you know how to do something?
Kyle, I think the how good Kyle Shanahan is as a coach, and then sort of the inability to get that next level may come in the quarterback, just because of he seems to get the best out of the quarterbacks that he has, and it's like, well, this guy came out of nowhere and he's been pretty good, and he goes to a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo, and Brock Purdy came out of nowhere. But the stat that was going around after the game on Monday was Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco, trailing by 8 or more points in the fourth quarter. They have played 36 games in the regular season and the playoffs when they have been down by 8 or more points in the fourth quarter, and he's 0-36 in that. Yeah. I mean, he's obviously a good enough coach because they've gone to a couple of NFC championship games and has gone to a Super Bowl, but is that the indication of he gets a lot out of his quarterbacks to be there to win some games, but when rubber meets the road in the fourth quarter, that quarterback isn't there to just simply put the team on his back and say, Mahomes, Brady, Burrow, Allen, Hurts, name the quarterback that, no, we're going to find a way to win this game and we'll overcome whatever deficit it is.
Right. I mean, that is the difference. Like, when you're watching, I mean, I'm a Lions fan, obviously, so I watched them get their butt kicked by the Ravens. You did not think Jared Goff was coming back from 21-0, right? When you're watching Patrick Mahomes, if it ever gets down by even 7, you're like, doesn't matter. 14, whatever. Yeah. Like, I just need 13 seconds. Like, you have this feeling. And part of that feeling is that, Patrick is actually a quarterback that is also a coach. He's I hate that expression, but he's able to see things, read them, adjust. That's why you're saying Rice says, Pat will find you. Well, of course, because that's what he does. You can't expect Brock to do that. But on the other part, it means that Kyle Shanahan is able to prepare his team really well because they get off to good starts, right? Like, their starts of games are strong, and that's all those 20 scripted plays. Like I said, Chargers did not have the right game plan. Clearly, Lions did not have the right game plan to try to read the defenses. But now, adapting, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, by the way, in the Lions game, if I know it was windy, but if somebody would have told me that Jared Goff was injured, I would have believed it, the way that he was throwing the football. The ball just did not come out of his hand. It did not look clean when he was throwing the ball. It was weird, like it was wobbly. And I know it was windy, but even like easy throws were like off target, and I'm like, does he have a shoulder problem right now? Like,
this is called the Lions lioning. This is if you're from Michigan, it actually, like, the world almost feels right. You know what I mean? Like, the world did not feel, it felt surreal beating the Chiefs, right? Like, to Lions fans, but it was wild. Like, you're like, what just happened here?
Yeah, you go to Kansas City and win, go to Green Bay and win. Yeah. The Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, Green Bay against Jordan Love, like, different. Like, if Aaron Rodgers were there, then still surreal. Yeah. But let's be fair, you watch that Ravens game, you're like, yep, This is the Lions and YouTube. This is what I'm talking about right here.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Last one for you. What do you think about Chiefs Broncos second go around in a couple of weeks for this team? Do you have a margin or a score in mind with the simulations?
Yeah, this is actually. Let me see. I'm trying to get some historical context here. My model says Denver's not great. So I think I have, on the week it's the only game with a higher forecast margin of victory is Baltimore, Arizona. And that's by about 3 percentage points. So
yeah, interesting.
not very much. So,
yeah.
This feels like a game where, there's going to be a nice opportunity. I mean, look, always in division games you get something weird, so that is always something to kind of asterisk there. But I don't know, but I have my favorite stat for you today. I had to come up with a Kelsey one that maybe you haven't heard yet, because I don't know if you know this, but everywhere nationally people are talking about his girlfriend a lot.
Oh.
So I had to come up with a Patrick to Travis stat to make sure that we had something there, like bring it back to football.
Yes.
So are you ready?
I am totally ready.
Okay. So Mahomes and Kelsey connected on 29 consecutive targets, and that goes all the way back to week 5. Okay, the first 11 targets in last week's game continued that streak. It was broken with 8 minutes left in the fourth, unfortunately, and there were 2 targets that were there. He had 2 more targets after that. He caught one of those 2. But what do you think the probability was that they would have 29 consecutive targets? So based on the actual passes that they had, how low do you think that probability is? A 1 in what chance?
So it would be like this particular pass had like an 80% completion probability, and then you take that
so
29
like
times.
80% times, exactly.
1 in 100, maybe? Like, I mean,
1 in 5,000, baby. 1 in 5,000.
1 in 5,000 chance?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is a phenomenal
And they
stat.
hit it. They hit that one. They really should have been in Vegas, if we're honest. It would have been just more poetic. Like, I love beating the Chargers, don't get me wrong, but it would have been more poetic had a 1 in 5,000 chance of something happening hit in Vegas. Come on.
Why didn't I just keep letting it ride every reception, every pass to Kelsey? Let it ride. Nope, put it right. Every single week, just let it ride. McCaffrey touchdown. All right, here's your money. Let it ride again. McCaffrey touchdown. McCaffrey. It's minus 750.
Right?
Let it ride. I don't care. Let it ride. It's going to happen. McCaffrey touchdown. Just do it. 1 in 5,000 for them to have those that many completions.
And
that
do
is
you think?
awesome.
What do you think? I mean, I don't actually have the number on this one, but I don't know what's more improbable, right? Like that happening 1 in 5,000, or like, see, like I feel like it's more probable that Travis Kelsey would date Taylor Swift. Like that feels like a 1 in 500 at least.
I don't know.
Because they're both awesome.
Yeah, but I would say that Travis Kelsey dating Taylor Swift is more improbable than the 29 straight.
Especially if you watch Catching Kelsey at all, Cynthia. That guy dating dating Taylor Swift, 1 in a billion.
Yeah, I mean, she hasn't dated an
I
athlete.
thought he was charming in that. He seemed like fun.
Yeah, charming in a, has this guy read a book ever, way. But now he's charming in a different way, more mature way, Travis Kelsey. But like, I don't know if she's ever dated like an athlete, certainly to that level.
Yeah.
And was Travis Kelsey somebody that was interested in Taylor Swift? And then, is, out of a relationship. So is she wanting to get back in? But this is full on. Like she's gone to every game but one since they've started dating. And that was in Minnesota. So Vikings fans are like, what the hell? What's wrong with us? But once she starts touring, then that will certainly change. But yeah, this is full in. Now we've got there's a one picture out there. The number that I saw is one picture out there of them kissing or her kissing his cheek. So that's the first public kiss. There you go on the
Good Lord.
cheek. Yeah.
Can you just leave him alone? I mean, I understand that it's like great, but like I'm a little like let him be, you know, like we'll get wedding pictures if that happens. Let's just like let him be, you know what I mean?
Leaving the two of them alone actually has the longest odds out of anything we've talked about so far today.
That is 100% true. Right
one in
100%
infinity, one in infinity. And really, the hilarity of the picture that's going around with her kissing his cheek is that the only picture I saw was those two in the picture. And then yesterday, there was a zoomed out picture that apparently they took a picture with McCole Hardman and his significant other. People just cropped out McCole Hardman and his girlfriend. So, like, if I'm McCole, like, what
That's
the hell,
funny.
man? Just like the New York Post and all these different pictures are just Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce and her kissing his cheek. And then yesterday I saw the zoomed out one, and it's McCole and his girlfriend taking a picture with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. It was just fantastic.
Amazing.
Poor guy.
This world is nuts.
It really is. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network. And you know what? We'll be watching a Chiefs versus Dolphins game in Germany next Sunday. So that'll be fun. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. Cynthia, so much fun as always. Really appreciate the time. Enjoy the football. We will talk next week.
Absolutely. Talk to you next week.
All right, there's Cynthia Freeland. Fantastic. I love that. Kept her way too long. She's got things to do too.
11:30.
You know, it's 2 already. Fantastic.
Wow.
You know, it's already
noon.
Thursday.
It's Thursday at noon.
Thursday at noon. We got a Thursday nooner. Here we go. 29 straight. So we saw that. And I'm glad she didn't say, hey, here's my crazy stat. They had 29 straight completions. I'm like, oh, darn it. We knew about that one. 29 straight completions. 1 in 5,000 chance based on each individual pass and the completion probability of that throw and catch and route, etc. 1 in 5,000. I said 1 in 100, so I nailed it.
You're playing the game
1%.
right, man. You got to undercut the estimates. You got to make the stats sound more. If you would have been like, I don't know, 1 in a billion, you're like, well, it's 1 in 5,000. You kind of took the air out of that
Thanks a lot, guy. You jerk. And darn it, I usually that is a 0.0002% chance of happening. So there you go. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and continue rolling. We'll hear from the Chiefs coming up later on this hour. More Zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll hear from the Chiefs, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and...
Ooh, I saw a text from Lebo.
He's just connected on Merlin 1.
He's connected on Merlin 1.
Merlin 1 will be at the podium today.
Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and...
Derrick Henry, whoa!
Crazy. DeAndre
Wow.
Hopkins.
Wow! A.J. Brown? Why? That's crazy.
I used to be
Khalil
able to see
Mack?
this stuff in real time when TweetDeck worked. And
Oh, yeah?
now it's like just broken.
I heard you complain about TweetDeck. I don't know.
It used to be so good. No, it's just like legit. This isn't just like me complaining, like, oh, Twitter's ruined. Like, it just doesn't. It just says something went wrong. But don't fret. It's not your fault. Refresh. And then I hit refresh, and then it's still broken.
And it's fret. It is your fault. Actually, it's ours. Dylan is telling me that we went so long with Cynthia that we have to take a timeout so that we can get the press conferences.
Seems fair.
So that's on Josh, his fault, and
My bad.
Curtis, mainly Curtis's fault. But we will take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll hear from the Chiefs. We'll tell you who's going to be at the podium. But Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, etc. next. we'll hear injuries or whatever might be the case from the Chargers game, getting ready for that trip to Denver. There was a text yesterday, and I forgot to get to it, that wanted me to ask Adam about this. But do you know the travel plans for the Chiefs by any chance?
I don't.
Just randomly.
I was also wondering about that.
Are they
I do
heading
not know
from
yet.
Denver to Kansas City and then stopping in and then heading over to Germany and being there for a while, or are they taking the Titans route of we're going to go like the day before? And Mike Vrabel said, no, we're not spending a week over there. We're getting there, playing the game, and getting out. Okay, well, you lost. So, but there's different ways to go about it. We get there, we play, and then we leave. Or we get there early and we spend the whole week getting acclimated to, the time change, our body clock, our circadian rhythm, all of that to get on the same page, because I don't know what the Dolphins are doing either. So, yeah I am I'd be interested to see the way the Chiefs go about their strategy of playing in Germany. I don't remember what they did in London. When's the last time they played? Was it 2015? Was the last time they played overseas?
Is that the Lions game?
That was the Lions.
That's
on
the last one that I definitively remember.
because it was Game 5 of the Royals and Mets. So I remember it for not remembering it. I remember it for being this is passing the time. This is just when are we getting to the game later on? Let's pass the time and pass the time. That's what but I don't remember them going overseas since then. Regardless, a lot has changed in 7 years, and also they are, or 8 years, and they're going to Germany, not London. So
obviously they were scheduled to play in Mexico, not
That's
overseas,
right.
but in the other kind of international game.
Yeah, but that wouldn't have been like, hey, you're playing at 2:00 in the morning your time.
Yeah, it might have been. It might have been the same. The same.
Yeah, I know. That's not
time
the case,
zone.
but yeah,
actually,
it's like, hey, you're playing at.
Can't remember where that was. Mexico City, right?
Yeah, so you're playing 8:30 your circadian rhythm time in the morning, but you're playing at night, or late afternoon, early evening. I don't know what the time difference is to Germany, but I know it's not a couple of hours. So there is some acclimation period that goes on. Not sure. There's a text that came in yesterday. I forgot to get to it and just generally ask the question or even bring it up with Adam. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know that they address it today, but we'll see what Andy Reid addresses along with Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones. But it also was a really crazy stat that I'd given Cynthia, in that from 2018 to 2021, Patrick Mahomes touchdowns with air yards of 20 yards or more, 44 from 18 to 21. And since the beginning of last year, 2. MVS was just the second one. The only other one was Justin Watson against the Chargers last year in, week 3?
Yeah, it's wild.
Like that, or week 2 or week 3, whatever that was against the Chargers. Those are the 2 of air yards of 20 yards or more. Now, there are a few that were air yards of 17, 18, 19. So the arbitrary cutoff, whatever, but 20 yards or more, 44 to 2. Here's Andy Reid.
All right. As far as the injuries go, really, it's Nick Bolton. He had surgery yesterday. He'll be back in Los Angeles. He'll be back here tomorrow. With Justin Ross, just addressing that up front, we're taking in all the information and have been. We'll continue to do that. He's back here. He'll work today. And we'll just take it from there. Other than that, I really don't have any information for you other than what we're gathering and what we've gathered. So, all right, on to the Broncos. We look forward to the challenge of playing them for sure. Even though it just happened a couple of weeks ago, we know the battle that we had with them, and they're a good football team. They're coming off a big win against Green Bay, and where they played well, and we've got to make sure that we get our work done these next few days here before we head up there. So we started that today with the walkthrough, and we'll keep building on that. Anyways, with that time.
Coach, when you play a team twice in about 3 weeks, a team you know very well, do you save parts of a plan that you don't show the first game or the second game? How do you work that out?
Yeah, you normally don't do that, no. Yeah, so you start saving things in this business and you got problems. So that is the way I've always looked at it. So you got to, whatever stuff you got for that game, you put it out there and you go. And then you play them again, you put your best stuff out there and go. So that's what I've always felt.
Andy, Nick Bolton, will he go on IR?
Veach is going through all that now, so I'll get you that information when he finalizes it. But we'll just see. We'll see how it goes. The one positive was he didn't have to have any metal put in there. So that was a positive going forward. And so we've just got to kind of check, see how the things go here. But Veach is on top of all that.
Is Justin Ross going to practice?
Yeah, he'll practice today.
Andy, with Justin Watson as well, procedurally to how you go about determining keeping somebody out there with when something like this comes up, or what is
Yeah, listen, all the situations are different. So, obviously, the law enforcement part of it, you listen to what the real details of what went on, and then we keep open communication, Brett, myself, and our people that deal with the law enforcement. So, and then we make the final decision from there.
You didn't mention Justin Watson. Is he expecting to practice today too?
Yeah, he'll be back. Yeah.
When you guys were getting ready for the Broncos a couple of weeks ago, how have you seen them progress in year one for Sean? How much better do they look now maybe than the first time you saw them that long ago?
Yeah, well, Sean made some big moves and letting guys go. And he's a veteran coach. I mean, he did that for a reason. And they made some adjustments on the defensive side, and they're playing good football, And so I don't know what went through all of that, but the last couple of games they've changed up what they were doing before that, and they've had success with it. So, but it's because he's been around, and his defensive coordinator was the head coach. He's been around, so they know how to maneuver, and have done a good job with it.
Andy, with third down conversions, you guys are number one in the league, and with third down and 15 and above, you guys kind of really have a large gap in between other teams. What's made you so successful on third down conversions, especially the long ones?
Yeah, well, listen, Matt takes care of all that, Nagy, and he does a great job with it. And then, obviously, Pat has a huge part of that. I mean, he's special in that area, throwing the ball. I mean, he's very special, and then the receivers and offensive line have done a good job. So, but the scheme has been great, and the players have been great. Coach, it's the best answer I can give you. But you're only as good as the next one, right? So make sure you take care of that.
Coach, are you back in the day? Remember when Tony Gonzalez was playing great football at tight end? It's a coincidence, but against the Broncos, they throw Champ Bailey on him. But, are you ever surprised that you don't see Travis getting that kind of attention? Is there a reason the game has evolved to a point that wouldn't be used?
Yeah. Well, number 2 jumped on him on third downs last time we played him. So, that they know who Trav is, and they had a plan there. So maybe you see a little bit more of that, or whatever. But teams are taking and putting good players on Trav, or doubling them, and he and Pat they've got a unique chemistry there. So yeah.
Is it all that unspoken connection, or are you? I mean, I'm sure I know you guys drill everything down to the nth degree, or does it take a little? Is some of this credit maybe go to your line for giving a little more time for Pat to see how Trav is going to read it? And
yeah, the line does. They do a good job, and then we always talk with the receivers, tight ends, about having that clock in your head. And Trev's got that ability to keep that thing running. How long can I do what I need to do to get open, and Pat stays in tune with that. And so they've got a good connection. I mean, that's what makes them special together. But from a defensive standpoint, you try to put too many guys on one guy, and then the other guys, have a battle. So it can be a tough thing from that side.
All right. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
There's Andy Reid getting ready for the Denver Broncos. News there with Justin Ross. They're taking in the information. He's back. He's working today. He's there at practice. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes here very soon. You're listening to Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City, saying that every situation is different. We listen to what real details that went on, keep up with law enforcement, and go from there. What stood out there is we listened to what real details went on. Maybe get into what that means. But here's Patrick Mahomes.
Playing a division opponent twice in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, obviously when you play a division opponent, you know each other already. You prepare for against that team, and they prepare against you all off season. And then being able to play them 2 times in 3 weeks, really, a little less than that, honestly. It's a challenge because we are so much familiarity. They know what we want to do. We know what they want to do, and now how can each team execute at a high enough level to have success. And so obviously they did a great job against us with their defense this last game, and how can we adjust, and I know they're going to make adjustments as well, and have success this next game.
Looks like there may be snow in the forecast on Sunday. I know there's been that video in history of you kind of saying you're a snow game guy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any reason or rhyme or reason why that could be the case?
I don't, because I grew up in Texas. So I only saw snow like twice growing up, so just kind of got accustomed to it here in KC.
Is there something with the grip that maybe like?
It's definitely. I thought snow was going to be, I guess, like rain, where it gets a little slippery. Whereas snow, it actually kind of makes it a little bit sticky in the air. So I think that could be something as far as why. And then at the end of the day, you just gotta go out there and throw it and see what happens.
Patrick, when it comes to third down conversions, you guys are number 1 in the league, and then when it comes to third and 15s, you guys have a sizable margin between 1 and 2. What is it about third downs that you guys are just able to just create out there and make it work?
Yeah, I think it's a mentality. The coaches preach how we're going to execute. The guys go out there and do it, and then we just have belief that we're going to make it happen some way. It all starts up front. The offensive line in third downs has to block against great pass rushers when their ears are kind of pinned back and they want to get to the quarterback, and they've done a great job of that. And then the guys, whenever I've extended, have been able to make plays happen. So you got to have the mentality to really execute it during practice so you can execute it during the game.
Do you feel like you're at the best when you're able to extend those plays sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, I think we do a great job first of having the play calls to go against what the defense is presenting to us. And then whenever we do extend, I think guys do a great job of getting themselves open. And then whenever I can run for it, I try to run for it.
Patrick, I know you spread the ball around. It was 10 receivers, 11 targeted. But you ever go back when you see the first half Travis Kelce had? You ever giggling in the huddle, like, why aren't they covering this guy? Like, he's not an unknown commodity, and it seemed like it was easy.
Yeah, I mean, I think defenses and defensive coordinators are doing their best to cover him. There's a reason he's Travis Kelce. He finds a way to get himself open versus man, versus zone, kind of versus everything. So, just glad he's on my team. I'll say that.
Hey, there was a reason for you to pull for certain major league teams when you were growing up because of your dad. But I wonder if the Texas Rangers were ever part of your fandom as a kid.
Yeah, no, I was a big Rangers fan. Kind of when I grew up, especially kind of those high school years when they were kind of getting to the World Series. They ended up losing 2 of them, and I was able to go to some of those games. And so I was a Rangers fan. I guess it's my team when the Royals aren't in contention. So I'm happy for them to get to the World Series. I know Shane Buechele was a big Rangers fan as well, so I texted him when they got there. So it is cool to see, and hopefully they go out and win it all.
It's been a few days now. What do you think Nicole just generally has brought back to the team?
Yeah, I think he brings another spark of energy. I mean, y'all see McCole, man. He always has a smile on his face. And for him to be there in that locker room, you can just feel the energy and then obviously the speed. And he has familiarity with the offense. And so other guys that are younger can even learn from him just because he's been here for a couple of years now. And even though he left, he's back quick enough that he can pick up the stuff that we added in pretty quickly.
Rasheed mentioned on that touchdown that it was originally he was supposed to run a corner.
Mhm.
He made an adjustment there. How quickly is he coming along as far as him being able to make adjustments? And was that kind of something you expected him to do or thought he might do based on the coverage?
Yeah, I mean, he has great feel. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, obviously you see how explosive he is, and you see the physical talent, but he has a good understanding of when he's open and how to stay open. And he's starting to recognize coverages more and more. Coverages are a little bit more complex than they were in college, but you can tell as he's starting to learn more and more, he's getting himself open. And so I think we'll continue to work with that. And he'll continue to find ways to get himself open whenever maybe the necessary route is not going to be. And he did a good job of that on the touchdown.
Did you see that too? Were you hoping that maybe he would make that adjustment? Or?
Yeah, originally he was the primary originally, but we had a kind of another option if they played a two-high shell, which was Kadarius, and they did a good job of covering that. And I kind of reset it back and was just looking for a guy to kind of have outlet to throw a check down to, and just saw him pull up in that window perfectly. So. Yeah, he definitely wasn't supposed to be open, but he did a good job recognizing the coverage, knowing where to be at the right time.
Todd, Patrick, a couple things. First off, Justin got arrested the other day, and he's back. Coach said to the team. As the captain of the team, what sort of message do you have for him as he comes back and tries to work through this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we love Justin. I don't know too many of the details as far as that goes, but in this locker room it's a brotherhood, so we just try to pick each other up as much as possible.
A football question. On the scrambles, the third and long scrambles, it seems that you always have just enough to get there. You talk about your speed before, but is there a secret to knowing, like, where the routes are? How do you pick where to go, when to run? Is there the spots where you can run on a play if it breaks down on something?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always looking to throw first, knowing that the guys are faster than me and they can make the big plays happen. And then whenever I do run, I run scared and try to get out of bounds and pass the first down as fast as possible.
Last one, by
Patrick, with everybody's tough out there, but with Rasheed, both those touchdown catches in recent weeks, he was going to get hammered. Can you just describe what it tells you and your own trust to see a guy take the hit and nobody's willing to take the hit like that?
Yeah, no, I mean, he's a good football player at the end of the day. He wants to go out there and win. He wants to compete. He's Texas tough, man. Those Texas guys, man, they're tough out there on the football field.
We'll have Chris coming away in a little bit here, but probably.
All right, Chris will be coming here in just a little bit. He'll be coming over there. There's Patrick Mahomes, the Texas tough players. Texas tough. See if Chris Jones agrees with the Texas tough. Maybe it's Mississippi tough. I'm not sure. But Patrick Mahomes weighing in on the offense. McCole Hardman, third downs. Rashee Rice, and that impact there. And I like he wasn't supposed to be open on that play with that coverage yet. He still got the touchdown. That was interesting to hear from Mahomes.
Yeah, lots of good stuff on Rashee Rice, and then you heard Lebo ask about Justin Ross, and that was not the most useful answer we've ever gotten from Patrick Mahomes. Not that he needs to speak on it,
right,
but to say, well, the locker room's a brotherhood. That
try to pick everybody up.
Yeah, I mean, if there still remains a lot that we don't really know. A little like message of support without all the details feels like a unnecessary thing to me.
I'm not sure what the answer would be then on that one.
It would be tough. It's a tough spot.
You're the captain. What do you say to him? I mean, if you sat back and wrote it out or whatever, and just came up with the exact right words to say, we can still support him. I don't know the details that are going on, but support him. Sort of like you may not love the action, but you can love the person and the mistakes that they make. Things like that, but picking each other up in the locker room, and it's a brotherhood and things like that. I don't know what the correct answer would have been for that. But I appreciate the question in that, hey, you're the captain, and this guy's practicing. How do you sort of go about that? Like, do you ignore it, or just say, hey, so everybody do your job. Do your job. You're at work now. Do your job. Compartmentalize everything.
And it's also not Mahomes' call that Justin Ross is practicing today. Like that's also pretty major news, especially where we were at 24 hours ago, and a little more than that.
Yes, and something we'll talk a little bit more about once Chris Jones will be at the podium.
Something
here
could be a second for Jones. So
just a little bit, but this is going to be a bit before Chris. It's going to be a bit before Chris. Okay. Whenever he gets there, we'll hear from Chris Jones. It is genuinely surprising that he's practicing today. Not Chris Jones, but Justin Ross.
Yep.
And I understand the legal process and innocent till proven guilty, all of that acknowledged, stipulated. But as sort of that is going on, it is, I don't know, it'd be pretty quick to say, well, we're figuring everything out. We're staying in communication. We're trying to get all the details. And then, you're less than 2 days after the incident happened and you know enough to where you're like, okay, go practice. You're fine to still be around the team.
That's the part that doesn't sit great with me. It's that the default is you're going to practice. So until we have enough information to take you off the practice field, as opposed to saying, Andy Reid could have come out today and said, hey, we're working on the detail with Justin. We're going to hold him out today while we keep figuring things out, and then as we get those details, we'll make the next decisions. But it's a little bit of a cop out to say, well, we're going to stick with the status quo, which is having him on the field, having him in the building. Unless you found details that make you think, hey, this is not the worst case that you've seen, whatever. But that's not what they said. You would have to really make a pretty strong statement about the details you do have. The Chiefs aren't saying they have those details. They're saying they're still working on the details. So business as usual for now, which I think ultimately will be business as usual forever.
The only thing that sticks out in terms of like the whole details and information or anything when he was asked procedurally from Vahe of, okay, so what happens in situations like this? And he said, every situation is different, and talked about, just sort of figuring out whatever went on. And then he said, listen to what the real details are that went on, keep up with law enforcement, and go from there, sit down, make the decision. I don't know, is he saying this specific instance with real details? Is that a general phrase of, well, yeah, there's a lot of different things that might be out there, but we've got information from law enforcement that's not being released, or witnesses that's not being, first-hand account from him that, he's not talking or allowed to speak on the record or anything and make a comment. And, we can take all of that, sit down and say, what do we want to do right now, moving forward? How comfortable do we feel about this moving forward with the details they have? But, 3 sides to a story, side 1, side 2, and the truth, ultimately, like, are they talk to his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend now about, her version? Because the Dispatch gave the version of him dragging her through the apartment and, breaking a bunch of stuff and, minor injuries, whatever the correct terminology was when the police got there. I'm not sure. I don't know if real details is specific to this instance, or is that just a general phrase?
I thought that word usage was interesting in real time, too. The thing about it that is also kind of odd to me is I think that does imply the existence of false details, or the fake details if you have the real ones.
Right.
And there are simply not enough details out right now. It's not like there's been some incredible rampant speculation, that there's been some bad reports that people have run with. I mean, what we have is the Dispatch audio and that story in the Star from Jesse and Sam, which is still, there's a little more there, but that's mostly from the Dispatch audio. And there was the Shawnee outlet that had a couple details, mostly from the Dispatch audio. So it's not like there's a ton floating around right now that they're trying to kind of like snip away and say, well, there's a lot going. That's not really where it is. So I end up landing more on that being Andy Reid just saying, looking for the real details, blah blah blah. Not as in there's bad info out there, because there's just not really that much info out there, period.
Yeah, so you're interpreting it as we are getting information to find the real details?
Yeah,
as opposed to
a search for the real, as opposed to trying to put away the fake.
This specific one is, well, we listened to the real details with an insinuation that there are false or misleading details that are out there, and the Chiefs have information that isn't publicly disseminated right now. So therefore, that gives them more confidence to sit down, talk, and have them go out there and practice with the Chiefs today, when it would be pretty simple considering his status on the team. This seems like an easy win with his status on the team of, we're going to have you be away from the team for a few days while we continue to figure all of this out till we feel 100% comfortable that we have a really strong idea of what went on in that apartment on Monday.
And I'm completely confident the Chiefs have more details than what is publicly available. It would be wild for them not to. Again, though, it's kind of the whole point of the commissioner's exempt list, or in other lines of work, administrative leave, whatever. Hey, go be away while we get these details together. That's the part that to me is unsatisfactory today. Is we are working on all of the details, and so we're going to have them here in the meantime. You can make that decision when you have enough details to say you've had a decision, but they're kind of playing both sides of that. And I find that insufficient.
And, just not beating around the bush, it doesn't feel good to me.
No.
It doesn't feel...
Feels bad.
I don't feel comfortable with that taking place. Because we talked about yesterday the heightened charge of domestic battery as opposed to criminal property damage of less than $1,000. Domestic battery raises the level when there's contact to some degree.
And what's the rush? Like, why just getting Justin Ross on the practice field Wednesday, October 25th?
Because also, if Justin
without all the details,
if Justin Ross is practicing, then what's going to stop him from playing on Sunday? And that feels even worse.
I would expect him to play at this point.
Yeah, because if he's practicing, then why wouldn't he play?
Yep.
Because you're taking the hit of, wow, this just happened. He got arraigned yesterday, and then he's still practicing. It's not even hey, let's have some cooling off here.
Yep.
This is going on behind the scenes. They've been burned before by Kareem Hunt that they sat down and got, quote, all the information, and it was a lie. It wasn't true. And then they got the video, and his ass was gone. Part of it because of the lie. Now, if I'm Justin Ross and I get released from jail yesterday, or the arraignment and all that, I'm going straight to the facilities and I'm meeting with Andy Reid and Brett Veach, and I'm sitting down and I am spilling the beans on every single detail.
Yep.
And you just let the chips fall where they may. You take your medicine, and if you feel like it's being exaggerated or somebody's lying, then say that. If you feel like you were in the wrong, you say that. But the Chiefs have gone down the road of somebody sitting there looking at them in the eye and saying, well, this is what happened and it's all good. And that was a lie. And it wasn't what happened. That there was a kick to a female.
Yep.
And then he's gone. If I'm Justin Ross, I'm telling the full story. And if that means I get cut right now, then I get cut right now. But I'm not going to sit here and lie and then something else comes out and then I am going to get cut. Because it may not even be extreme, like, hey, here's what I'm telling you. And then it's like, well, it's a little level higher and you didn't present this. Sorry, we can't trust you anymore. You got to go. As opposed to, here, you gave us all the information. That's what came out was the information. We can still work with you because at least you were honest, contrite.
Here's what the consequences will be
exactly
if you find that to be reasonable.
Yeah. And so if the Chiefs, at face value, meet with Justin Ross yesterday, sit down, get as much information from him, law enforcement as much information from them, and feel comfortable, well, I mean, again, they would have more information than us.
Right,
it still doesn't feel good. To your point, what's the rush? Why immediately out there today on a Wednesday? And there are plenty of guys that haven't practiced on a Wednesday.
If you do feel, let's go with like the most optimistic case scenario for Justin Ross's behalf, and then there's a whole big misunderstanding. Like literally take it beyond reasonable doubt, whatever, or reasonable hopes. If the Chiefs found out, hey, this whole thing was a big misunderstanding, and here's what it is. The investigation is not ongoing. They're not still gathering more information. So if you want to come out and say we have talked to Justin, we are confident we know what happened, and things are not as bad as they looked, and information will come out over time, whatever, but he's going to practice today. That's one thing. You can say we have found his story to be believable and not rising to the level of a suspension or getting cut. But you have to say that, though, and at some point you have to own up to that, and that's not what it was today. Again, today it was we're still going to be figuring it out, but everyone's going to practice except for Nick Bolton. Well, hold on a second. Now let's circle back here. If it's ongoing, it means you have not made up your mind yet, but he's practicing. To me, it sounds like the Chiefs have, by and large, made up their mind and didn't want to say, we've made up our mind. And again, that to me does not feel good at all. You could at least make a decision and stand on it, as opposed to kind of like just floating out there. He'll probably practice.
If information comes out and it's not as bad as what it sounds like for, domestic battery.
Everyone should be rooting for there to be less domestic battery. That would be,
yes. We
would all love for that to be the case.
And again, I wasn't there. I don't know. This is a complete and total hypothetical. It's not speculating. It's a hypothetical. If that were the case and the Chiefs say, we knew that, that's why he practiced, then you go, okay, understandable. Still seems a little early. But while that could happen, the flip of the coin can happen as well, in that more information comes out and the Chiefs have egg on their face, and it's like, so what was the rush to have him practice? What was the rush to make sure he was back and practicing and there around the team? It doesn't make sense unless you know for a fact everything that took place there. In that time frame that the police were called, what took place in that apartment. If you don't have all the information, you have to side on the caution of, we are going to play this from the standpoint that you can step away. We're doing our due diligence, but we're not just going to bring in and do this and then find out there's more information. You side on the caution of, we can let the legal process play out, but we also don't have to be the team that, this guy still goes out and practices and would be on schedule to play if no new information comes out right now, which I don't know. When does new information come out? He got arraigned. Right. His court date is what, December?
December.
So does that mean that Justin Ross is just simply a part of the team until December and we find out? Is there a plea or is there, along the way? Like, I don't know, but it certainly doesn't, it doesn't sit well. It doesn't feel right now. And I would much rather have the Chiefs say, yeah, Justin Ross isn't with the team right now. We're still gathering information. And when we feel comfortable of the situation that went on, then we will make a full decision of whether or not he will be practicing with the team or not. But right now, we're still in the gathering process.
It also, going back to Mahomes' answer just not being very satisfactory, it puts him in a bad spot because he's going to go throw passes to him in 15 minutes. I mean, hey, this guy who got arrested, who was practicing with you today, what are you going to say? Again, I don't think that was a great answer from Mahomes, but I also don't think there was a great answer on the table for him. Mm-hmm. If Ross isn't with the team and Lebo says, hey, Justin Ross got arrested, now he's not practicing today, what's the message to everyone else in the locker room? That's easy. Then Mahomes can say, well, yeah, we just all got to work on what we got, and, it's really important to keep our business off the field handled, and, hopefully information comes out that ends up, maybe not being too bad, but we'll have to let all the legal process happen over there on that side. And in the meantime, we got to stay locked in here with the guys who are in the building
because we got a job to do. We still got to go about our job.
That's an easy answer your quarterback can then give, as opposed to, hey man, go ahead and square this circle for us that the team has chosen to do. Seems like a misstep to me for no particular reason.
And the position being in, okay, so how do we handle it in house? How do we handle it as players? Well, we support him. We still got to figure out all the details, but we support him. I understand from the standpoint of, hey, I'm supporting the person, not knowing the act, but I love the person. I'm close with the person. If this was something he did, I am not happy with him. I am very upset with him. I'm frustrated with him. I need to do what I can to support him as to why that happened, what's going on in your life to where that was the reaction.
And I don't blame Mahomes for not going this way either, because now you're confirming that things happened, that you don't know what happened there. Again, it's a lose-lose for Mahomes.
Yeah. But it's an element of, look, I can still love the person.
Yeah, Derek Carr handled that with Henry Ruggs.
Yeah.
And that we knew what happened there.
Yeah.
And that was horrendous on every possible level. And there are ways you can navigate that.
Right. I think that's part of where Mahomes was going with it's a brotherhood. And we try to lift people up.
Sure.
Like, okay, I'm still going to support him. Because then, you're right, if you start to get further, and maybe the right play was just say that and then eject.
Yeah.
Rather than ramble like I tend to. And then now you're being quoted on everything you're saying, and it's being written down, and it's going to be there in the written word, and whether people can hear it or not, or tone and inflection and just simply reading it, or a snippet from everything. There's no real snippet here. Yeah. I guess you could take a snippet and go, we're a brotherhood in the locker room. Like, whoa, that's all you're saying? Well, yeah, there's other things of still need information, what's going on, not knowing, but we try to lift everybody up in the locker room and support them. Okay. Yeah, understandable. And that's the player's job. The organization's job is to protect the organization.
And the players.
And the players as well.
Part of the organization.
Yeah.
Again, I did not want or need Mahomes to say, yeah, boy, what I heard was horrible, and that we're gonna have a long talk after practice, because that's not his role. I mean, leader and face of the franchise covers a lot of ground, but this is not a move that he's going to make the decision on.
Yeah, I mean, there's
unnecessary.
There's no reason for him to be out there.
And now tomorrow Matt Nagy's got to do the same thing. He's a coach who can say nothing pretty successfully, but what's your message to? I think that was the actual question, right? Was what's your message to Justin which Lebo asks, because he's gonna be out there.
Yeah.
It's not, that was not the question if he's not there. I'm repeating myself, but if Justin Ross isn't on the practice field, the question is, what's your message to the rest of the offense? Is there a moment here where everyone needs to make sure that they've got like their home business handled and that people know what to do in situations like this to keep them from escalating? There's a lot of routes you can go. It gets a lot more difficult when, again, you're about to go throw passes to the guy. If you really don't know what happened. If you know what happened and you're satisfied with the details you have, that's a different thing. That's not what Andy Reid said.
Because part of
and the Chiefs have not made any official comment outside of what we heard from Reid and Mahomes.
That's right.
That's the last other thing. The only people from the Chiefs we've heard is the head coach and the quarterback. The head coach is in charge of all the things here, and the quarterback is uber famous and excellent at being a quarterback. But we've not heard from the personnel department or ownership or anyone on team letterhead in any way, shape, or form. Which is relatively normal for them.
Yes. But we should.
Yes, we should.
We should hear from Brett Veach. We should hear from Clark Hunt. This is going on. This happened with your player. There is a domestic battery charge with your player who 2 days later is practicing with your team.
Yep.
I would hope that Clark Hunt signed off on that and he's not just like, whoa, what's going on here? That he would be kept in the know. But also, why are you signing off on that? Like, just from the, well, Clark, here's all the information. Okay, great. Yes. But let's take a breath here. Let's take a breath and dial some things back. From Mahomes' standpoint, on the, with the team, if Justin Ross wasn't there, there's an element of, hey, how do you keep these guys together and no distractions?
Yep.
Because there was a very big distraction before the Super Bowl a few years ago was something, that happened that was really awful and could have been even more tragic than what it ended up being. And there's, jail time being served because of it, which was a distraction. So the Chiefs have unfortunately had experience with that. This is not getting ready for the Super Bowl and something happening with one of their players, but it is it's middle of the season and you're going to Germany next week and you got this thing going on. If he's not there, how do you compartmentalize? Maybe you're thinking of Justin Ross and wondering what's going on, and but you've got a job to do. But he's there, so yeah, you're going to be talking to him. Is there a message to him? Is there a conversation to him? You're the captain. You're the face of the NFL. And one of your receivers left a courthouse yesterday after being arraigned for domestic battery and is wearing a uniform today. I didn't know if we would ever see him wearing a uniform again. Certainly didn't think it would be less than 24 hours after he walked out of the courthouse.
Just feels unnecessary, like an unnecessary way of handling it.
Mm-hmm.
In fairness, we all thought we'd be hearing from Chris Jones by now, so...
Well, I mean, we were going to talk about this after Chris Jones. So, I mean, we get the conversation now before Chris Jones.
I feel like we just now hit like a good stopping point, I think is what I just realized. Like, all right, I think we said what we needed to say. I think we covered a lot of that.
That's right.
Here's Chris Jones. Whoops, he's not there yet. Okay. Guess we got to unpack that
we
now.
We will hear from Chris Jones very soon. So that's that. The other piece of news in terms of the personnel, Justin Watson is practicing today.
Yeah. So I didn't think Justin Watson would be practicing today either. But I'm happy that he is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good for him.
So he will be practicing today. Nick Bolton, the only one not practicing. Surgery yesterday. They did not have to put any metal into his wrist, so no screws or plates or anything like that. Just simply repairing what was already there. And, hey, that's great news.
Yeah.
It's great news. And not having to worry about metal detectors and things like that the rest of your life because something is there. And
it's like, all right, so Keenan, 15 years ago, remember Keenan Allen? He fell on my wrist.
You've got to go through the metal. You got to, like, hold your was it left hand? So you got to hold your left hand around the thing and walk and say, see, look, there's nothing.
Just this.
I'm not the metal detector, the alarm is not going off. Now watch when I do this. Okay, see, there's a metal piece there. Every time, that would be annoying. Every time. So at least he gets to avoid that scenario for him.
I guess this is the actual awkward segue. It's like, all right, there's the serious stuff. Now back to like the football things. But since we're here again with those being the newsworthy items, kind of going again back to some of the Rashee Rice things that Mahomes sounded like he knew the Justin Ross conversation was coming and that it was a low energy, weird vibe day. It's also dreary out.
Yeah.
But even throughout all of that with the Rice questions, that's more underlining, perhaps, of the same thing we've been circling and highlighting and putting a little star next to and bolding and going, all right, this whole like Rashee Rice, comfy in the offense, developmental plan, like him learning how to read defenses and finding the soft spots in the zone and reading everything and reacting the way Mahomes wants him to. We've been kind of like tiptoeing closer and closer to that line. And it feels like we may be up to full speed now, where I have heard it from Rice in ways that make a lot of sense. We've heard it from Mahomes. We've heard it a tiny bit from Andy Reid. We'll hear it more from Matt Nagy tomorrow. The Rashee Rice hype train, I think, is officially, it has left the station, and I am very glad to be on that particular train right now.
Well, and one of the things that I was that we can get into and talk about today at some point, Mick Schaefer will join us at 1 o'clock, or even tomorrow and on into Friday as well, because today's Wednesday. We've established that a couple of times. Thankfully, and thank you to Cynthia Freeland for helping us establish that. But the last 2 weeks for Rashee Rice, we've mentioned 9 receptions, 132 yards and a touchdown. The pace for the entire season, what he's done so far this year, he is pacing this year to have 63 receptions, 741 yards, and 7 touchdowns. That dog will hunt.
Mm-hmm.
The last 2 weeks, small sample size, but the last 2 weeks, if that were a season, say what he's done the last 2 weeks, what that would be over the course of the season, okay? Which could have, there might be a game where he has 90 yards, might be a game where he has 40 yards. But over the course of the season, what he's done the last 2 games would come out to 77 receptions, 1,100 yards, and almost 9 touchdowns. Going back to 2020, 16 players in the NFL have had a season of 77, 1,100, and I put it to 8 because it wasn't a full 9, so I put it down to 8. Kelsey and Tyreek are 2 of amongst them. It's happened 24 times total, but with 16 different receivers. So if that were the case, if that were the season, what he's done the last 2 weeks would be a pace of one of 16 receivers in the NFL going back in the last 3 years. 21. Yeah, so 3 years, and I guess it wouldn't even be changed, so just the previous 3 years that have done it. He'd be one of the top 16, 17 receivers in terms of production. Not saying that that's what he's going to be, but that's putting in perspective what the last 2 weeks have been for Rashee Rice.
He's also been graded very well. I'm going to have to go grab the actual
I haven't even looked at the
here.
grade.
Well, there was a new, it's not new metrics, but it's a new way that ESPN is publicized there. It's ESPNanalytics.com/RTM, if you want to just hop straight there. Receiver tracking metrics, I believe. Using next-gen stats, they're evaluating every route a pass catcher runs and scores his performance in 3 different phases. And Rashee Rice is Travis Kelce is 14 amongst all pass catchers in like sort of the averaged out grading. Rashee Rice is 25, right in front of George Pickens and Justin Jefferson, just for what it's worth, right behind Debo. Debo Samuel, not Dwayne Bowe, although, I mean, that's where we're headed.
Debo from Friday.
But Rashee Rice, Rashee Rice has of the 3 or 4 categories, it's overall grade, open grade, catch grade, and yak grade. And Rashee Rice has the 5th highest yak score in all of football behind DJ Moore, Debo Samuel, Nico Collins, Kendrick Bourne. Then it's Rashee Rice. So
Moore, Samuel, Bourne,
Nico Collins.
So he's 5th then?
He's 5th behind.
Rice.
Rashee Rice is 5th behind those 5 in the ESPN Next Gen Stats grading on wide receivers after the catch.
Okay. That's pretty legit.
And again, 25th in overall pass catcher rating, which includes tight ends and obviously includes Travis Kelce.
It feels like he's close there, right? Like to break one.
Yes.
Because there's been back-to-back games where
You're
he's
right.
been like one guy away from just being in the open field and running free. That would have been a 96-yarder. Mark Boerichter, you were safe. You're good. That would have been a 96-yarder with the 38-yarder that took place on that play this last weekend, and then that would have been, a 60, 65-yarder if he broke the last tackle by the safety when he tried to sort of jump over him a little bit.
This also probably won't shock you, but on the grading scale, Rashee Rice is significantly dinged by his catch grade.
Oh, well, yeah, that would make sense.
Breaking news from Josina Anderson. Frank Clark is flying to Seattle to visit the Seahawks. She says if all goes well, he will sign with Seattle. Also, fittingly, we're supposed to hear from Chris Jones any second now. But Josina Anderson says Frank Clark visiting Seattle.
And he will sign with Seattle?
If all goes well, he will sign with Seattle, according to Josina Anderson.
We'll see
so
if
it was
it
a
all goes
reunion
well.
tour for Frank Clark.
That's right. He was in Kansas City.
Ian Rappaport says he is signing with the Seahawks if he passes his physical today.
Okay.
After he passes his physical today.
Well, there should be
53-man
an if.
roster and gives a boost to the pass rush.
Okay. Well, it doesn't.
And that's what. Sorry, I just was reading the tweet. I was the things read out loud by Joshua Brisco do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Joshua Brisco.
Reading the internet does not mean they are my original thoughts.
Don't Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott me on this one. This is not me saying that.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott,
Frank Clark.
That's right.
I think Chris Jones is on the way.
Here's Chris Jones.
False start. Penalty.
All right, so that was a false start penalty, as Karen Kornacki
Oh,
said
that's
there.
hilarious. Like, why would
False
she
start.
just say false start
Nope,
penalty?
here's Chris Jones. Nope, false start, 5-yard penalty, 5-minute penalty. Here's Chris Jones.
Timeout.
Hey, Chris,
Sorry,
you
Sid.
guys worked a lot in training camp, like that third down package with you and George outside and then Mike and Charles inside. You finally got to unveil it. What do you like about that? I mean, how tough do you think you four are up there?
I don't know how to answer your question. I didn't go to training camp.
That's
but-
right, you weren't there.
It's all good. It's all good.
Gosh, I thought you're talking about brain cramps.
Yeah, it's all
Three
good.
of the four. But how excited were you just to be able to get it out there?
Oh, it was fun. I think we can continue to build off of it. I think our best game is ahead of us. I think building chemistry along the defensive line, having Charles in there, everyone being able to move around. We got Mike Daniel who can play 3-tech or bump on the outside. We got George who's getting accustomed to being moved around, and every guy's in the room is interchangeable on the pass rush. So I think it's a plus for our D-line.
Chris, when you play a team twice in basically 3 weeks, what are the pros and cons to that?
It gets harder. The team knows what you excels at, and the team knows where you kind of had a problem at the first game. So Denver Broncos, I think they have a heck of a quarterback, an amazing coach, Sean Payton, and great supporting staff around them. I think last year they had one of the top defenses. A lot of guys on that defense still remain there, so I think that's a tough outing. This is a nice group. Unfortunately, their record doesn't show that, but I think they're still a great team.
When you guys have done a really good job.
When you talk about the record and what you saw from them last year and expectation from this year, is there anything that caught you by surprise coming out of that game about how well they played this season?
I think they got two dynamic running backs who can run the ball. I think they got a veteran quarterback who is decisive on his throws, who can command the offense and pick you apart if you give him enough time. So coming from that, and they got a heck of a head coach. I think Sean Payton is, for me, is one of the legendary coaches in this league, Hall of Fame coach that I respect very much. So, when you take that in perspective, they got the potential to be a really, really good team.
Chris, you guys have done a really good job against the division, right? Won the division a bunch of years in a row. Part of that beating this team. You never lost to the Broncos, right?
I don't think so.
What do you attribute that to?
Preparation. The guys in this building, from the coaches to the players to the scout team, giving us great looks, preparing us to be ready for whatever we get in a game. I think it's as a whole, everyone being accountable, and that message passing on down from the coaches and to us, and I think it plays a huge part in our success going on the field.
Chris, we're approaching the halfway point here. We're getting close. How much is there a sense in the locker room that you guys have the potential to be the best defense in the NFL this year?
I think more so is the sense of just being better than we was last week. We don't want to put that weight on anyone's shoulder. We still got a lot of young guys, still got a lot of guys growing. So as a whole, you want to just be better than you was last week. And at the end of the year, we'll continue to do that. I think we have the potential to be one of the best defenses in this league. But right now, it's not about being the best defense in the league. It's about being the best we can be week in and week out.
Chris, how much does the return of Charles, the presence of Charles, help you be that? What kind of dimension is he adding?
Charles being able to play inside and outside, came back. he got over that excitement, got his sack. We welcome him back with open arms. He's going to be a guy we're able to use all around the place. He's big, he's tall, he's actually fast, faster than you look. No pun intended. He can go inside, outside. I think they can help our group tremendously. Like I was telling Joe Cullen, I never think you can have enough pass rushers in one group.
And you say he got over that excitement? Did you kind of have to reel him in, or he was that?
Yeah, you know, when you haven't played for a while and to come back and get that sack is just a relief because, you know, it's like he finally got it, you know. And then also to be back with us, I can only imagine how much he missed the game and been away from his time, how that played an effect on his emotions. So glad to have him back.
He told us in the locker room he's a Swiss Army knife. If he's a Swiss Army knife on the defense, what are you?
I'm just Chris Jones.
The hammer?
I don't know. Whatever y'all want to call it, y'all. Whatever y'all want to call it.
Chris, I've asked a few guys this, but the schedule is more unique now than maybe ever before since you've been with the team. Just how much of a challenge has the schedule been? Because you guys are going to have more miles this year, obviously Germany included, than you have obviously any other year previously.
I think it's super exciting. We got a lot of guys who come from college that haven't been overseas yet, right? So to get the opportunity to go overseas and play in front of Germany fans who's going to be excited, I think it's remarkable. Also to expand the game on that type of level, I think that's remarkable also. You know, we don't make the schedules. We don't have a choice on where the schedule go. Just wherever you put us, that's where we'll be at.
Chris, when it comes to, you guys are number one in the league in knockdown balls, batted balls. Just what is it to that you guys have been so well at that?
Well, when you got two guys in the middle that's 6'5" and 6'6", then, you know, it's like playing basketball, right? Just getting the block. No, I think it's George and the rest of the guys we work on. You know, our coach, he emphasizes a lot throughout the week. You know, Joe Kelly emphasizes a lot. Pass rushing, knocks, sacks, hurries. So we kind of simulate drills for everything that we do in the game, and on Sunday it kind of shows up.
You guys have played a couple of games without Nick, but you lost him during the middle of the game the other day. What was the difference like having kind of Drew take over the play calls during the game, and what has he done to maybe show that he can replace Nick as much as possible?
First and foremost, Nick, we're going to miss you. I love you. Get well soon, my guy. Nick's, that's my dog. That's my LB. But Drew's done a heck of a job coming in and filling that void for Nick. He's been very vocal. He's took the leadership role of voicing everyone and getting us lined up. So I think he's done a tremendous job in the amount of time that he's been able to accustom to the defense coming from there last year. Defense kind of complicated at times to kind of adjust to, but he's done an amazing job on picking us up and getting us directed.
Chris, if I can follow up on that, when you've been obviously on two Super Bowl teams and a team that won, but what's been the biggest difference from year to year to where you at right now compared to previous years?
I think every year has its challenges. You know what I mean? I think every year is different. Every year offers different adversity, right? This year, in particular, we got a lot of young guys, got a lot of new faces. You know, I think part of those Super Bowl teams, we had a lot of familiar faces amongst the defense, amongst the team as in general. So when you have a lot of new guys come in, first and foremost, it's about getting those guys to buy into the system of being unselfish, and also buy into winning and sacrificing. So once you're able to do that, you're able to make strides. And secondly, it's about commitment, committing to being better every day, especially in practice, giving your best foot forward, and it'll show up on game day.
Chris, shortly before you hit the podium, reports kind of broke that Frank's heading to Seattle just to talk to them and see if it works out. I know you've been campaigning for him on social media. What's your reactions to maybe him landing back with the team that he started with?
Listen, I think that'll be a remarkable thing for Frank. I think he had a lot of success in Seattle. You know, Frank, I love him like a brother. I actually talked to him last night about this. You know, I wish the best for him. Hopefully, he comes here. But most importantly, I want what's best for him and his career. You know, Seattle, hometown team, is who drafted him, so it makes sense. And you know, I hope it goes well for him.
Chris, You're almost halfway through. Have you been looking at your snap percentages and sacks, the things that have to do with your incentives? Yeah, are you just trying to put that all out of your mind?
Man, I don't really think about the incentives. I know I hit them all. It's not such a big deal to me. I know they're achievable. I know I'll achieve them. I don't really have to think about it,
Last one?
Chris, last year, obviously, this was around the time where there was the controversy hit of a strip sack, but it was called, obviously, roughing the passer. This year, you guys have not had those issues of this is not meant to jinx, but what has led you guys to sack the quarterback at such a high level, but not obviously be penalized yet?
Still early, man. Still early, man. Let's just keep the fingers crossed and making sure we roll and hit in the area we're supposed to hit in. Coach Spence does a good job, especially on Saturday, giving us tips on the game. He always brings up the hit zone of the quarterback where you can and can't hit him at. So we always keep that in the back of our head, especially playing against guys like Russell Wilson. When you get close to him, he's able to duck. Being sits, trying to get low, it's easy to get the head, or it's easy to kind of land on top of him. So body weight shifting and trying to protect ourselves from any injuries going down.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
That's interesting. Would love, a full breakdown of this quarterback does this when you're getting ready. Russell Wilson ducks. And so when you're going in there, you probably got to get lower, and then you'll be, hitting the head if it's not, a certain way, and body weight adjustment as you're landing and falling and all of that for defensive linemen. So what do they have? One roughing the passer call this year?
Mike Edwards is
Broncos.
about 13 grand lighter or so.
Yeah, Mike Edwards' questionable call that also resulted in a penalty, or a fine. But speaking of that too, the
16 grand lighter.
Kareem Jackson has won his appeal, but only half. Mm-hmm. He is now suspended only 2 games, not 4, but that means he'll still be out for this weekend's game against the Chiefs. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. We'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer will be our guest coming up at 1 o'clock. KSHB 41 Sports Director. Talk about a few things with old Mick. Old Mick Schaefer. Coming up at the 1 o'clock hour. Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
As we still have a lot of catching up to do. Me and you, just has been a while. It's good to see you.
What do you think about this Rashee Rice?
We need to catch
4.
up on a lot of things. Something that I think we should follow, and I was going to ask Adam Teicher about this yesterday, but ran out of time, or it actually slipped my mind because after Adam Teicher, I was going back and looking at notes. I'm like, oh, crap. I glossed right over that one.
It happens.
But the usage of Rashee Rice and how early the usage is. So going back in the 7 games against Detroit, the first pass, the first target was in the second quarter of the game. It was actually the second drive because it was the Lions drive, Chiefs drive, Lions touchdown drive. Then the Chiefs got the ball, and their second drive actually overlapped into the second quarter. It was the 15th play, which, by the way, 15th play was in the second quarter against the Lions. The 10th pass went to Rashee Rice. Against Jacksonville, second quarter, third drive, 15th play, the 14th pass, because against Jacksonville, the first 15, they ran the ball one time. Against Chicago, in the first quarter, the first drive, the 5th play, the 4th pass. The Jets, the second quarter, 6th drive, 29th play, and 17th pass before Rashee Rice got the ball. Minnesota, still in the first quarter, last play of the first quarter, second drive, 16th play, 10th pass. Denver, first quarter, first drive, 7th play, 4th pass. And I'm assuming you have an idea of this one.
I do know this one.
First play of the game.
1-1.
First play of the game, right to Rashee Rice.
And then again later that drive?
Yeah.
Played 5 snaps the opening drive.
I will be watching that on Sunday to see if there's something to the Chiefs saying, we need to get him involved early. Because we get him involved early, now he's in the game, we're rolling. And the last 2 weeks, the 4th pass and the first pass have gone to Rashee Rice. And he only has 1 target that wasn't caught. And which one was that? Was that the Broncos in the back of the end zone? Was that and then he went, what did he score against?
That might be it.
No, that was Minnesota, I guess, that he scored on the man-to-man slant at the goal line.
Yeah.
And so it was the Travis Kelce missed that first drive of the second half. And so that second down play went to Rashee Rice, but he had stopped his route. So that was Minnesota. That was in the last couple of weeks. So either way, out of the 10 targets, one of them was not caught. But the 4th pass of the game on the first drive and the first pass of the game, first play of the game on the first drive to Rashee Rice. I think there might be correlation causation there. And I'm wondering if the Chiefs are saying, yeah, we don't need to go out of our way to get Kadarius Toney involved or Sky Moore involved. Why don't we immediately get this guy who is our number 1 receiver moving forward involved?
And we've talked about the first 15, the scripted plays, the ones that you're going into that game saying, here's our plan for how we're going to start all of this. You can paint this either way. The good news for Rashee Rice is it works both directions. You can say, we want to feed a guy to get him off on the right foot. Or you can say, well, this is when you're going to force players onto the field. Maybe they drift off later. Rashee Rice was playing consistent reps all game long against the Chargers. He's been going that direction more and more, and I am very happy about that.
Yep. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We are debatable how happy we are about Mick Schaefer. He will join us coming up here in the 1 o'clock
We'll get
hour.
him some early targets. We'll try to keep him healthy, keep him happy.
That's right, right out of the gates, because if we don't get him right involved, he sort of just fades away.
He wilts for sure.
That was Monday.
Yeah. Start your success story with a degree from the University of St. Mary. Learn about USM's online and Overland Park courses during a November 2nd info session. Register at stmary.edu/RSVP. The World Series is set. It will be Diamondbacks-Rangers as the Diamondbacks stunned the Phillies 4-2 last night in Game 7 of the NLCS to reach their first World Series in 22 years. Meanwhile, for the Chiefs, Nick Bolton did have successful wrist surgery, likely headed to injured reserve, but did not have to have any metal put in his wrist, per Andy Reid. Also from Andy Reid, Justin Ross will practice for the Chiefs today shortly after his arrest. Also, Justin Watson will return after his dislocated elbow. He is expected to work today as well. We'll talk about
Family Mealtime. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, welcome back in the zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Mick Schaefer hanging out with us in the final hour of the show on this Wednesday. Coming up tonight, we've got Hawk Talk with Lance Leipold at 6 o'clock. Sterling Holmes for an hour with the home stretch. And then Sporting pregame with Ali Trost and Nate Bukaty at 8 o'clock. Then Sporting taking on San Jose. And after winning that one, they'll get ready for their quick little two-game sweep of St. Louis.
That's an aggregate? Is that they do an aggregate for those three?
No
or just
aggregate,
like
just straight up.
So if you lose 9-0
the
first match, you're just down one match to none.
That's
Okay,
exactly right.
good.
No aggregate, no added time. So they don't do added time until the conference finals. Yeah. So
It's so weird. That's the only round that has multiple matches.
Yes, is the next round. But wild card match tonight. So if you're watching and it gets the end of 90 and stoppage time and it's tied, PKs. Penalties, right?
That's
then.
it. No
added time.
No 15-minute halves, whatever.
Conference finals and the MLS Cup will then go to 15-minute overtime periods. And then after that, if it's tied, then you go to the PKs. But until you get to conference finals, into regulation and stoppage time, there you go. Let's see who moves, which will be incredibly dramatic in a wild card game if that happens. Yeah. I'll just take the 3-1 victory tonight. I'll just take that one.
I don't want to give up the one.
Comfortable 3-0. And then late, stoppage time. Like, there's one. Who cares? Have fun. Have fun flying.
We're busy
back to
celebrating San Jose. That's why we let that goal
Enjoy
go.
Hopefully, you know the way to San Jose because you're heading back there right now.
Have fun with your earthquakes out there. What a nickname. How about something great to name your team after?
At least.
How many natural disasters do we have for team names? Hurricanes, earthquakes,
tornadoes, cyclones.
Is this thunder count?
Thunder, sure.
It's a natural occurrence. I don't know if it's a natural disaster.
Lightning. Yeah. Somebody's, I'm sure, named the lightning.
Tampa Bay.
Storm.
Yeah. Storm is good, yeah.
We like using monsoon. Is there a monsoon?
But basically,
the Tulsa tsunamis. It's not even alliterative. No, I made that up.
Yeah, especially being in
Tulsa.
They are
the wave. What's the
green wave?
Green wave.
I've never seen a green wave.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, don't get me started about other colors of hurricanes.
It's golden.
Golden hurricanes. That's horrifying.
Be awful.
Is that
well, that'd be great. A hurricane of gold.
Cool, yeah.
You just bunker down until it's over, and then all of a sudden you collect your riches.
Well, or Jason, it's a golden hurricane, as in the water is yellow.
I was thinking of the gold bars. I'm not sure where your mind is going.
I wouldn't want to get hit by a gold bar either.
That's
it's 90 miles an hour.
That's why I said hunker down.
You're gonna have to hunker on a different planet.
No,
take your golden shower like a man
in the basement or a storm shelter, and when it's over, you come out and collect your riches. No, absolutely. I almost said something that I was going to regret.
Speaking,
and so I'm not going to. But if it's the gold bar version, I'll figure out the storm shelter, and then I'll come out and be rich.
Speaking of random teams that some of us might cheer for, would the Suns qualify as that fuels storms and hurricanes and weather and all that stuff?
Stars,
is that a natural disaster?
Yeah, sure.
Anyway,
the moon and sun have to get some credit for like tides and stuff.
My brother said that the other day.
Rochester Tides.
That's right.
Yeah,
love them. They play
Rochester Tide Pods. Actually, is what they were.
Play lacrosse league.
It's great.
My brother said the other day you were talking about the Suns logo. And he was upset that you forgot to mention that Suns is an ambigram.
I love the fact that Suns is an ambigram.
The logo. It can read upside down, right side up, Suns.
They
like
had a-
the U and the N are the exact same turned upside
I'll
down.
try to get back in your brother's good graces when I know that there was a time in the early 2000s where their script was not that way. They had like the Arched Suns script, and I never liked it because it ruined that effect, one of the greatest effects in sports typography.
It's also crazy that Phoenix does the same thing.
It is unbelievable.
How
It's
do they
really
do
cool.
that?
Great optical illusion.
He also said that
he's with me on the Thunder logo being absolute.
He said,
dookie,
hence
right?
the lowercase n. But then I said, is it a lowercase n or are they all lowercase? Like U and S?
Oh, interesting.
So it's true. And then we started talking about not fonts, but typefaces.
Yes.
What people call fonts are actual typefaces.
That's right.
And the ones that are called glyphs, they have the built-in upper or lowercase for style. Those are called glyphs.
Boy, I bet you guys in your conversations are just dynamite at parties.
God, yeah.
I bet you guys just
That's
really,
why he is in his 40s
really
and
cleaned
does
up
not
in
have a
college.
girl. Yep.
Really cleaned up in college. Good for you, man. Good for
Speaking
you.
of speaking of college,
actually, that's a typeface.
It's a typeface. Okay.
Yes,
Wait, where'd
okay.
she go?
You're actually
to the bar, actually, while you stood at home and used your typewriter.
Speaking of college, Mick, you're actually in the room with someone who took an entire typography class in college. So we can talk about kerning and tracking and serifs versus sans serifs. And I would love to just spend a good few hours talking to you and your brother about fonts, typefaces, and
Talk dirty to me.
all of those
Dude,
beautiful little
you
characters.
tell me where that's at, and I will not be there.
We'll record it for you so you can listen on a
Yeah.
podcast maybe.
At-
Slow it down
at
to 0.75
7 times
speed.
Wow, that was good. It was an hour-long podcast. You sure? I listened to it in 40 seconds. It was great. It was like the sped-up Chipmunks.
When they re-released The Princess Bride, I believe on the 20th anniversary, they did an ambigram with the title
rules.
The Princess Bride. Upside down, it reads The Princess Bride as well. Look at that.
How?
Look at
I
that.
love it.
Let me see. Let
That's
me see
so.
that.
We're on. There's a whole
That's not
subreddit for
possible.
ambigrams. Oh,
It's
I
not
love it.
possible to be Princess
Great,
Bride
dude.
upside down.
It's so good. And it's legible. It works.
They had to basically invent their own font slash
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
type.
In this
Yeah,
case,
that's
it wouldn't be a font really because like the R's are different depending where they
Yeah.
are. So this is really just some great graphic design work.
great
but
graphic
it's really
design,
just it's a custom script. I guess I would say. I'm not sure if that's the right term. I'm a little out of practice.
No, it's inconceivable
inconceivable.
that you'd be able to do
That
that.
N has to be an N and a B.
What
Yeah,
about
that's a
what
great
about
one.
the conceivable?
The P's got to be a D and a P.
Okay.
It's really
The two S's also have to be an E and a C.
really excellent design here.
So, Mick,
Yeah.
Dylan, no one, we're back.
here's my question to you. Josh and I talked a little bit about this in the break. It won't be on the podcast, but I'll ask you and then we can get into it. Jason Bean's playing this weekend, and Lance Leipold was on with the Border Patrol yesterday, who seems like he's getting towards the end of his patience with talking about Jalen Daniels for a month straight. And it was just like, and so Jason Bean's going to be playing this weekend against Oklahoma. Even after the bye week, Jalen Daniels, isn't able to play. After this weekend, there are 4 games left. Redshirt Jalen Daniels, 2 more years to play. He's played in 3.
I would, but I would not count on him. I would still recruit quarterback.
I would too.
Still groom quarterback.
I absolutely would too.
I would still.
But
I
I've
mean,
got-
I can't believe he still has eligibility left, but it's you don't actually have to graduate from college anymore. Will Howard has a year left after this year.
He is a wow, that's crazy. Well, the COVID years, years.
But technically, would Daniels have 2 years left?
Well, he's a junior,
if he redshirted.
so he's got
junior.
one more. He's got 1 more year based on the COVID, and then if he redshirted this year, he'd have 2 more years. He turns 21 in 4 days, so that's extra medicine for the back.
Even that,
he'll be
right.
Now he can try to find other ways to. You know what? It's numb now. The little hair of the dog helped me play this weekend against Oklahoma. Unfortunately, that's what, Sunday. That's right after the Oklahoma game. That's too bad.
Yeah.
Had his birthday been Friday, numb that back up and get ready to play.
It's
Now,
just
that would have been
historically-
interesting seeing him out there play like that.
Well, I mean, so many stories of college football players waiting till 21,
Especially in
to
Lawrence.
drink.
I mean,
and
that's
Lawrence especially.
a dry city, I think,
Yeah,
right?
but it really
Absolutely.
it's a game changer for
Yep.
a lot of them.
Straight-laced.
And,
Once
how
you
they
get
deal with
21,
injuries and how they play.
Coaches have to worry about it. Now you got
Yes.
kids showing up and just buying shots for everybody and throwing up on
They
the
have
field.
separate
and-
practices, guys for over 21, guys that are under.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And
Deal with the bodies
seniors
differently,
going,
yeah.
I remember my first beer.
Yeah.
That junior over there finally having a sip of alcohol. But no, he's still 20 years old. So he turns 20. He'd have 2
wild.
years.
So he was like 18 when he beat Texas?
He was young.
I think he probably was.
He was,
or
he
maybe
was
he
young.
had just turned 19.
No,
It was
no.
2 seasons ago.
No, it was the conversation.
Where was it at? Was it in November or October?
I'm on it.
The conversation around Jalen Daniels when he first played was like, this kid is like turned 18 yesterday.
Yeah.
And he was playing. It's like, this kid is a young freshman. He probably started kindergarten at 4.
Probably.
I'm guessing. Pretty smart dude. So, but if I'm Lance Leipold, and obviously I don't know what's going on behind the scenes with the back and all of that stuff, but it seems bad enough to where you thought he was going to play against Texas, and then it got re-aggravated somehow. The bye week is over. You're playing this weekend. Jason Bean is going. Bean's my starter the rest of the year, and Jalen Daniels is my starter next year. I will certainly need to have a backup there ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, I guess he would be. He's just just so injury
Yeah,
prone.
but Jalen Daniels is my quarterback the next couple of years. And I redshirt him. And if we get to the end of the year and there's 1 game left and he's played 3, then hey, maybe Jalen Daniels can go in that game and play his 4. But I don't know. Do you want to do the whole back and forth the rest of the year? Just say
Is that a pun? Back and forth could be like the subhead of this KU football season.
Oh yes,
back and forth.
Back and forth. But like, do you want to do this whole
bean and cheese?
That's right. Thingy, as opposed to just saying, Jason, you're a QB. You're a QB the rest of the year. This is who we're riding behind. Let's go get Oklahoma. Let's go get K-State. Let's go get whatever. And Jason, you're the QB.
Yeah. And you'd be bringing back, I guess, the preseason offensive player of the year in the Big 12, which I felt like that was a little presumptive, right? That was a little ambitious for him in a league now with 14 this year, 14 teams.
Mm-hmm.
That like really he's your best player. I mean, with all the with Ewers coming back.
Well, I thought with what he did last year and the players returning, I was fine with Jalen Daniels being the preseason player of the year. I don't think he's going to be player of the year though this year. I don't think he's going to be the postseason.
Also, it was November 13th, and they beat Texas.
So he was already 19.
2021. So he would have just turned 19 and then beaten.
But he had already been on campus.
Jared Casey's still playing for him.
Yeah.
Catches.
But he'd already been on campus for like 8 years, Jalen Daniels at that point. So he did get there as a 10-year-old.
That's right.
Right? Wasn't he recruited as a 10-year-old? Didn't Les Miles offer like a 6th grader a scholarship one time?
Something like that.
Was it Jalen Daniels? We have got to the bottom of this whole thing, which, by the way, in 3 hours from now, Ryan Wingo will be announcing his college destination.
Who's he got it down to?
Mizzou, and it looks like either Mizzou or the school in Columbia, Missouri.
Oh, Columbia College.
That's right. Or maybe he'll go to Rolla. I mean, it looks like he'll probably stay home, so maybe Northwest Missouri.
Missouri
S&T.
Go be a Billiken?
Yeah, that's right.
Washington University.
WashU's
over there.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can play a really, really good brand of football there. For a while, it had felt like Texas, but now it's like 100% of all the crystal balls are Mizzou.
Mm-hmm.
So be a huge deal if in the last 3 recruiting cycles that he would get 3 5-star players with Ryan Wingo, Luther Burden, and Williams Winara.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
the first one of those
massive.
is playing like one too, because so many times, especially for schools that don't get 5-star guys on a regular basis.
Yeah,
those 5-star guys never pan out.
Well, that was where
hence DGB, right?
Yes, but that
item
was
number 1.
That was part of the pressure and whether it's hot seat or whatever for Eli. Clearly not a hot seat. They gave him a contract extension last year that sort of made it even tougher to fire him. But it was
a warm seat, like it's a heated seat.
Yeah,
that's how much money. Yeah,
but it was also it was
feels
warm.
good. It reclines.
Well, it was warm because it was what or get off the pot. Like, hey, you've been there for a little bit. You know,
he was on a toilet with a heated seat.
Read your phone
exactly
or
right.
get off the pot.
That's exactly right. Yes,
a bidet.
Ooh, he was on a bidet. He's gone from a warm toilet seat to a bidet. That's nice.
No, Jeff Bidet is not at Mizzou anymore. He's not there anymore. But the part of this year was. Okay, so you got these players from St. Louis. Ryan Wingo is deciding. You've got the kid that already committed to Ohio State, who was at the LSU game on an official with Williams Winara and Ryan Wingo. So you've got him. You've got Isaiah Mosey that already committed to Oklahoma. But going into this year, it was, can you win games to keep the momentum going, and can you win games because of, if you're talking about Ryan Wingo, can you win games because of Luther Burden and a St. Louis guy and a wide receiver to show, no, this is how we will showcase you. You'll be playing right away. Luther Burden is the Biletnikoff leader right now. From St. Louis, 5-star at Mizzou. And they're, 7-1? And Ryan Wingo is now announcing today and they're winning, and Luther Burden is that good, and the recruiting is continuing to pick up, this was a massive 8 weeks for Eli in the trajectory of the program, because Ryan Wingo could easily announce Texas today, and nobody would have batted an eye. It's Mizzou or Texas is what are the final two, but Texas A&M, Tennessee, a few others that he was thinking of, but yeah, Mizzou or Texas, and for a while it was Texas, and the last month it's gone all to Mizzou.
It's a good stretch for the Missouri legislature too.
Yes,
with the
That's
NIL
right.
rule,
That's right.
That certainly helps. I don't think Texas has that.
They don't.
Yeah, that would be a lot of
But
athletes.
it wouldn't be an in-state school though, because Missouri has to be from the state and an in-state school for you to get that money. So,
okay. So yeah.
So him being
Texas,
from
yep.
Texas,
Right.
I don't know if they would have anybody
Or
or
out of state, yeah, whatever,
out
yeah.
of state or whatever. But I mean, whether that's why Williams decided to go, whether that's why Wingo ultimately looks like he'll decide to go. I mean, I don't know how he's going to do it, but is he going to pump fake and do the psych out? Are there going to be 6 hats on the table with the 6
I
schools?
bet it's going to be kind of cringy, kind of awkward, like it always is.
I just want him just to pick,
what it is in your mind, it never goes off that way.
Just you know what? Just do what
just have a Mizzou shirt on.
What the smart kids like Williams Winter does from Lee Summit North, and just simply put on the hat and just say, I'm going to Mizzou. Like that, just straight and forward. You don't have to do the whole crazy thing and toss hats here and then take I'm going, nope, I took that shirt off. Oh, nope, here's my sock. Nope, it's the other, nope, underwear. Actually, I'm going to Colorado.
I disagree. I think this needs to be about making it as big of a spectacle as possible.
No, it doesn't.
Who was it a few years ago? It may have been a basketball recruit, can't remember, who took off like 3 shirts and then just had his chest painted.
Yeah.
Can't remember who did that, but that was a good move.
Christian Brown.
Was it Christian Brown?
Yes.
Okay.
That would have been badass.
Would've
If
been
it was
nice.
Christian Brown, that would have been awesome.
And we're at to wait 45 minutes on ESPN because I'm sure it's going to be live on ESPNU and got that satellite up and running.
Should be live everywhere. Really.
Yeah, do you think
unless he picks Texas, then immediately dump out?
You think they're gonna have a video of Drinkwitz going nuts, going George Brett in the suite at a sporting game?
I hope so.
Whenever, like what happens last time.
I hope
last
so.
time with Williams. It's crazy to me that
And
they
Luther,
really
when they
don't.
got Luther.
Even those coaches. At that point, they don't know. At that point,
That's what
there's
they
not
say.
a text right beforehand saying, "Hey, I'm going."
Yeah.
Like they're finding out real time, like us.
But like the reaction, they were in like their video room,
Yes.
their team room when Luther Burden
They
committed.
celebrated
and
like
they
they
all
won
jumped up
an
like they
actual
just made the tournament. They were an
Yes.
at-large bid, and they were on the bubble. And, yeah, our name's up there, which you see why now. You see the impact that's there, but he also had to be much bigger this year than he was last year if you're going to attract a Ryan Wingo and maybe even a Mosey. I don't know that he's going to flip his commitment, but even if there's a possibility of him saying, yeah, I know my dad went to OU, but Williams was going to go to OU and now he's going to Mizzou. They're a little different with the legacy and everything with his
Well,
dad
and
and all
actually,
that stuff.
I mean, it could hurt him going there. Like he plays the same position, right?
Right. I mean,
So
or you
like
go
if-
there. Yeah, if you're Mosley and you go there, and you're like, you know what? Me, Wingo, and Burden next year. Burden's last year, and Marquise Johnson, who looks like a big player. Like they're having some weapons. They're getting some weapons there, and even if Mosey doesn't go, but they're getting the called. Shouldn't say getting. They're getting more and more weapons. They're in more and more living rooms for the weapons and staying home. Caldwell going to Ohio State. Again, he was at LSU. He's a 4-star, top 10, 15 receiver in the country. Has committed to Ohio State for a while, but now all of a sudden there's thoughts of him reopening his commitment and going to Mizzou. Maybe Ryan Wingo helps with that because he's a St. Louis kid. So we'll find out, but it's
incredibly important. Sorry, I thought we were.
No, good. Good.
Just very, very important to note that Gavin Potter took off a K-State hoodie to show a homemade, like electrical taped Texas Tech T-shirt.
Doesn't get him with KU, right?
Which he took off to show his chest painted KU. He now plays for Arkansas State.
Yes.
Well, that was actually what was under his skin. He really bled Arkansas State.
He bled red. I bet he did.
What is Arkansas State?
Red
Wolves. Yeah,
maybe?
Red Wolves.
Yeah.
I bleed Red Wolf.
He definitely bleeds red. I would
bleed
imagine.
Red Wolf. So back to the topic. Do you would you redshirt Jalen Daniels at this point? Because I think I would. I think I would just say, Jason, being you're the quarterback, Jalen, get healthy, man. You're trying to come out and play. Get healthy, and we'll see you next year. And for 2 years.
I go back and forth on it because either way you could say, okay, if he's not in the plans for next year, okay, no, let's get him out there, let him play. But even if he is in the plans for next year, I could see them doing that because they want to build momentum and want to win as many games as possible. And I'm sure they still believe he's better than Jason Bean. But I just can't. I can't imagine that he's part of their future, right? They're making plans around him just because of how brittle he's been over 2 years. And I think if you're KU and the momentum you have going now, and what are they? Are they at 5-2?
They are at 5-2.
You're going to be bowl eligible.
6-2 after the Oklahoma game.
That's right, 6-2 after the OU game. You'll be bowl eligible. You'll beat the Sooners. You'll have beaten the second best team out of that state.
7-2 after Iowa State.
Yeah, third best maybe after Tulsa and Oklahoma State.
8-2 after they beat Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Which will then bring the matchup of 8-2
I
Kansas
would
State.
do it. I would do it, but I don't think they will.
8-2 KU versus 8-2 Kansas State.
I bet if he's healthy enough, he will come back and play 2 more games, which would kill that.
But who wins the 8-2 Kansas State game?
It's a great question.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one.
Well, it depends on which backup quarterback plays better.
Great point.
Yeah.
Avery Johnson looks like he might be I don't know. Is he the better
Will
the backup
Howard had a
quarterback?
great game last week.
Well, I mean, who's the backup quarterback then? Is Will Howard the backup? Well, they both started.
But one started at receiver and ran the ball.
They both
that was a great little wink
for you,
right
Chris
at the fan
Kleiman.
base.
Good
that
for
was
you.
a great little wink.
Should do that every time. Line them up next to each other.
And like
the first
they both
game.
had their hands out for the snap, but one's behind the guard.
They catch it together.
That's good.
Catch it together.
They catch it in the mesh point, and then one takes it.
It's a joint possession, like you're a wide receiver.
Like, did he
defensive
hand
back.
off or did he keep it? I can't tell.
I don't know. I guess we just say they both started at quarterback. It's really an or. It's a Will Howard or. No, it's an and. It's the first ever and starting quarterbacks.
I would say it's a. I like Jalen Daniels and Jason Bean. But I think it's a much better quarterback situation at K-State. I mean, you have a guy who led you to a conference title last year.
Yeah.
Who has played well. Minus one game has played well this season. The fan base wants out because your backup's a 4-star.
Yeah.
That has played like, this is a third year in college so far.
Well, I mean, it's
a good situation to be in.
If Kansas State takes care of business, then they would be. Well, they need Oklahoma State to lose.
That'll happen. Although O State gets to play like all 4 newbies.
Yeah, Oklahoma
the rest
State's,
of the way.
Oklahoma State's rest of the way. Yeah, they need Oklahoma State to lose to Oklahoma, and if K-State wins out and Oklahoma State loses to Oklahoma, then they're in the Big 12 championship game.
You don't
or
need
just
to worry
it doesn't
about,
even have to lose.
You
to
don't
Oklahoma.
need to worry about O State staying at 2 losses.
Yeah, it doesn't even it's not even Oklahoma. It's
they're
just
not staying
anybody.
there.
But they're playing Cincinnati.
Red hot Cowboys, Mick? I don't know what you're
Hey,
talking
look,
about.
they just got 3 straight wins that I had chalked up as losses after the South Alabama game and after the Iowa State game.
And 4 of their last 5 games are against the newbies that have been struggling.
Yes, I mean, sign me up for 9-3 right now. Sign me up.
Legit.
With
I can see
a
9-3.
quarterback. You've been playing 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah. 1 quarterback for each loss that you would have suffered. It's not a terrible thing, right?
No, not with that team. Lost half of it to the portal. They lost their, that was going to be our top receiver to gambling.
They lost the rest of it to South Alabama.
Lost the rest of all their pride and half their fan base, season ticket members to South Alabama.
But on a different note.
I didn't even know South Alabama was a state.
It is. It's a 52nd state after Puerto Rico.
Split up. But on a different note, K-State's going to wipe the floor with Houston this weekend. I mean, they are going to demolish Houston.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Yes.
I feel like that was good that they got their attention.
28.
Oh, really? Okay.
28. It's 17.5. They'll win by 28.
Oh, that's bold. I feel like
it's true.
I feel like both things will happen. K-State won't look as good as they did last week. Houston won't look as good as they did last week.
Houston's Super Bowl was last week, and they had them, and they lost it, and now you've been waiting to play Texas for years and years and years and years and years and years and years, and that was your chance. And you had them, and you lost it. And now you get to play a K-State team on the road that's figuring it out and whipping people. So have fun, Houston.
What was the worst play call? UCF on their 2-point conversion against Oklahoma, or Houston on 4th down against Texas?
Yes.
I think it's UCF still. I mean, the swing pass, I get it. He was looking to throw, but you went 8 yards backwards.
How many double passes were there this weekend? It's like 2-point conversion, double pass. Yeah. 4th down, double pass.
I don't know, you've scored 29 points at OU's place. You can move the ball.
Yeah.
Maybe get a little something more standard. Find the mismatch and go after it. Doesn't have to be tricky.
We'll take a timeout. We'll see what happens when people say, hey, don't you know I work at KSHB or 810 WHB? What their reaction is compared to maybe what we hear next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director. Mick, you ever told anybody that I work at KSHB actually, so I would like that table right over there. Can I?
I've told him that, but not in any sort of like boastful way.
Okay, I
it's
didn't
more
know.
of apologetic. Like, okay, I'll work.
Yes,
it.
I mean,
I work in the
that's
media.
right. I do.
Yeah, okay.
You're right. I am wearing my credential to dinner here for no reason. Well,
instead of saying "Don't you know who I am," I'm like, "You don't know who I am." Okay, that's how I say it.
No, you don't. You don't know who.
You don't know who I am.
You don't like that. Yeah, you have no idea. They released the body cam footage of Chris Olave's arrest, driving 70 in a 35. And he was arrested for reckless driving. This is about 33 seconds or so. And here is the Chris Olave body cam footage and the police officer that is not impressed.
All right, so the reason I stopped you is because I got you going 70 down Julian. So that's 35 over the speed limit. So, yeah. That's all. I was just trying to get home. Yeah, I get that, but you can't go over more than double the speed limit. So, I need you to stand right over here by my car. Yeah. You gonna arrest me, man? Yep. For real? Yeah. My bad, dog. I play for the Saints, man. And?
And? Perfect.
And I play for the Saints. And? What's the point? And? I guess I don't think it went the way that Olave probably thought it was going to go. Like, you're going to arrest me? My bad, man. I play for the Saints.
Oh, well, in that case.
Yes.
If he's a fan of the Saints offense, he should be glad he didn't get extra charges in that moment.
That's right.
Crimes against football.
I play for the Saints. Really? I went to the game 2 weeks ago. I didn't see you out there. No, I'm number 12. Yeah, I don't remember seeing you catch a ball.
Hey, I'm gonna target you more than Derek Carr does.
Sorry. Well, you know what? Sometimes the defenses seem like he's in cuffs. So then the police, put him in cuffs. But my bad. I play for the Saints.
And?
And? Mick Schaefer. I work for KSHB. And I would like that table right over there. That's the end. I'm not sure, officer, if you know this, but I did have one catch 11 yards in my high school career. So that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying I've had that first down in my life.
I think I did just realize the instance when I have experienced some form of that. Like, hey, I'm with 810. Like, we're doing a remote over there. Like, oh no, you didn't.
You didn't. You don't know about it.
I'm sorry. No, I'm with. Like, I'm with. We talk. Yeah, we're supposed to be here.
You're not aware of that. And no, we're supposed to be in here. Like,
I'm not
inside.
making this up. It's like Saturday. It's 9 a.m. Man, I'm working.
So when I'm heading out to Chiefs games, our set is right next to the stadium, and so there's no direct route to the set, and we park there, but nobody's really allowed to park there. So I have to talk my way through to like four or five security guards. I have to move cones, jump curbs, literally every single time. And I'm doing the whole, I'm like, I'm with 41. I show my shirt. I've got a marked vehicle. Dia Wall is often with me. When she is with me, she just smiles and waves. They wave at Dia. There's no explanation. I'll bring Dia when it's like her day off. And she's not even supposed to be like,
to ride.
Can you just come out there with me and just get me through the parking, okay? And then you can just hang out the rest of the time.
It's amazing. Yeah, that's I just love it. Hi, it's me.
Oh, Dia. Hey, Dia from TV.
Dude, it is like trying
Who's your cameraman?
And your driver.
Trying to talk the parking. And like, no, actually, I do actually need to be over there, but they're also just doing their job.
Well, I found that nobody likes to enforce rules more than people in charge of parking. I feel like not even cops love to enforce rules more than parking attendants. They are there, and they're on their power trip, and they have that yellow vest on or whatever.
The yellow vest.
And they're in charge, okay? And what says goes, so I'm the nicest person in the world to them.
I don't think that's true.
You know? Have you been to a Chiefs game?
He doesn't think it's true about you being the nicest person in the world to them.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm very nice. I'm very nice.
I'm guessing
very
that that last part is not true.
No, I'm very nice. I
nice
respect
to them.
authority.
Yeah, you're nice to them, and then you roll your window back up and you say what you wanted to say 30 seconds before.
Absolutely. And then when I tell the story later, I'm like, I told that security guard.
Ma'am, I understand that you have a job to do, but I do work at KSHB.
I'm really sorry to be a problem.
But I mean, I kind of need to park over there.
I've won 14 Emmys.
Nominated for 7 other?
And?
We're the home of the Chiefs.
And?
I'm on the zone 3 days a week. Oh, yeah, right this way.
Let's go.
Yeah, come on over. Yeah, why didn't you say that? Bury the lead over here. Was it Mike? Mike Schaefer. Is it Mitch? Oh,
Mitch
it's Mitch.
Shatner.
I know Dia Wall. Get on
Get
in
on,
here.
hold on. Why did you say that at the beginning, man? Come in for a hug. Yeah, you just go right over there. Hey, guys, let him through. He knows Dia.
It's basically how it goes.
Would you like some quick, nice Chiefs news?
Yes, please.
Mike Pennell, wearing number 69.
Nice. That is nice.
Bag of practice.
Was he wasn't 69 previously, right? 66 or something like that?
Yeah, I don't think he was. I was going to say 60.
Somehow the internet works on your computer 2 feet away. But
it's
just depends on the signal that you get. So mine, it works fine on
64
mine.
last time.
It works fine on my computer.
Mike Pennell.
So
born in Topeka.
Sorry about yours. Sorry about
That's
your
right,
luck, Mick.
Topeka guy. That's right.
Yep. So Mike Pennell, if you did not hear, Mike Pennell is back on the practice squad for the Chiefs. So there you go.
Hey, do you know what Jason says every time Dylan tells him we need to take a break?
And?
Do we need a break, Dylan? Is that like the actual out right there? Do we have another segment?
We have another. We got this.
Dylan
is our second.
says no. I said, do we have another segment? He said no. We do?
Well, yeah. This is our second segment with Nick.
Oh, so we need to take another break?
And?
What's the point?
And?
Sporting pregame starts at 8 o'clock tonight with Ali Trost and Nate Bukaty.
Sporting's going to kick ass.
They are going to, and balls.
They're
going to kick
San
balls
Jose.
and ass.
Whoa.
They beat San Jose 18 out of the last 20 times they played them here. You know how hard that is to do
It's
in
difficult.
soccer?
It's difficult.
Don't taint this game.
18 of the last 20, they've won here over San Jose.
At about 10:30 tonight, I will immediately start getting. I mean, I'm already nervous, but we'll get even more nervous for that St. Louis matchup because God, I want that to be St. Louis so bad.
It's a great setup. You got a bad team
Please.
coming in that you're going to whitewash. You're playing good soccer against the number one seed, but it's also kind of a rivalry number one seed and a number one seed that has literally never been here before. They've never played a playoff game before.
That's amazing. I mean, it's just it has an amazing setup. Speaking of a pretty good setup, Seren's out there at Children's Mercy today, broadcasting the show, getting ready for that game. When Seren is done, it will be Hawk Talk with Lance Leipold at 6. Sterling Holmes will just fill the airwaves for an hour from Lance Leipold to Allie and Nate.
I might be involved in that hour too, so it's going to get bad.
That's called the
Scraping
home
the bottom.
stretch to get to
a valley and back up to a peak.
Sporting game, which is all right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I like your scarves, guys.
You like
Coordinate that?
Thank you.
You brought
Yes.
two of the
Three
of
of
them.
them.
Three of them.
Four
Yeah, well,
us.
here's the
Yep.
thing.
That's cool.
They were
No big deal.
here yesterday.
Well, I've got
So,
my Oklahoma
Jake
State
from,
outfit,
Sporting.
I believe, still in Lebo's
I do think
office.
so, too.
Jake from Sporting dropped him off yesterday for us.
Oh, thanks, Jake.
And we said thank you, Jake from Sporting and State Farm.
If you still had that Sporting pop socket on your phone, I bet you would have gotten one.
It's true.
You had that for a long time.
Probably have. I did the phone for a long time. I probably have 2 or 3 Sporting scarves at home. I didn't think to bring it. I thought
It's a beautiful
bring enough
weather
for
to
everybody.
wear.
Yeah, it's scarf weather.
Great scarf weather.
We didn't bring enough candy for everybody, so we can't bring the candy.
You
Sorry.
want to wear my scarf with
We
me,
can
Mick?
share it. Yeah,
we can
maybe
share
I'll get
for
the
the
internet on my
podcast.
computer then.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Scarf.
Do you want to teach us any German before we get out of
Did that just increase the bandwidth for your computer? By doing- that is a blue and Weiss.
Blau, I believe.
Blau
Weiss.
and
Blau
Weiss.
and Weiss.
Blau and Weiss scarf.
This feels nice. I don't think I've ever shared a scarf with anyone else before.
No, they usually only make them for one person.
They typically make them for a single person, yeah.
We could get one of those infinity
Well,
scarves.
that's a new thing. Let's make double, but love
What if
seat scarves.
You take this one and you tie it at the end?
Yes.
And now
Yeah.
you can have a whole row of scarves.
Yes.
Love scarves. That sounds.
You can Velcro them together and make as big a scarf as you want.
Ooh.
Velcro scarves, $1 million.
Got to stick together. Tagline done.
Wow,
Man,
Velcro
yeah.
scarves stick together.
Yes.
Real fans stick together. Sharks, this is what I am offering you: 8%.
We need $2 million for 5%.
That's what I'm willing to offer.
Do you understand what you are evaluating your company at?
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it, Mark.
It's a Velcro scarf. What are you not seeing here?
This is a Cuban special. They can sell this at Mavs games.
Yeah, I don't think they have too many scarves
Dallas.
necessary in Texas.
I thought you were talking about Cuba either. They typically don't need
Cuba.
scarves. They're Cuban special. Like, is this a cigar? Thank you, Mick.
Welcome to Cigar Scarves.
Cigar scarves. Scarves.
Yes.
Bill Cigar Scarf is my favorite actor.
After you wear it, you smoke it.
Stick to 810. Serena's next.